A world record speed run? Holy shit. Hold on, my brain's short circuiting today.
Making the mother of all omelets, dear Jack. Can't thread over every egg.
Where are we? Who are you people? What are we doing here? Oh, there we go. Oh, it's stream time. Okay, I see. Here we go. Fantastic. Hi, Faye. It's GI Robot. Okay, now I go. Yes, you are correct. GI Robot. Oh my goodness, are we good? Are there any more? Oh wait, no, we're still waiting on a Kerboom and a Hardtack. Or did the Hardtack go off? Okay, there's the Kerboom. Did I miss the Hardtack? Did it go off at the same time? And it was just like,
there's our man.
Too many
There's
sounds.
Our man. There's our boy.
That's where we're at? Yes, okay. Oh, so we are, ooh.
Wake the fuck up,
Oh my
samurai.
God. Oh my God.
We have a city to burn.
That's fine. I'll go scroll art while y'all let out all of the sound alerts.
And shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul and seal your doom tonight.
I'm good. I've only been up a little bit. I have not been up very long.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Wait.
It's fine. I'll just sit over here and scroll Dansom's art and look at his cool little Dahlia, the tiefling. It's fine. It's fine. Are we good? Have we exhausted the, what is it? The armory? Have you exhausted the armory for now? You got squats? I got squats already? Fuck, dude. Fuck. All right. I haven't even got to do a greeting yet, and y'all are doing literally everything. Get to squatting? Okay, fine, we'll get to, where is it? While you wait for the hardtack? Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Are we good? Spend all the tickets? Oh, Jesus. I mean, who was it? Was it Kilda?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Y'all should know by now that one doesn't work on this page. Hey, squats, I'll do this here soon as well. Good. Good. All right, are we good? Everybody done. Everything's been taken care of. Are we good? Anything else that anybody would like to say? This is why I can't have the throw things anymore for y'all. Because y'all would be spamming the shit out of it. Means you don't have it like one streamer. I saw a man has a treadmill he runs on during hype trains. Man almost fucking died. Wait, did they keep the hype train going while he was on the treadmill? I mean, I would do that. You have how many points? Oh, it was Void? Void, were you the one that spent some? I can actually check. I'm pretty sure. Where is the show-off redeem? Show-off. It was Kilda. Yeah, it was Kilda. That's Redclaw. Redclaw gets on the treadmill? I thought he only pretended to get on top of a ball. I don't remember him getting on a treadmill. Does he? Does he get on a treadmill? Is that new or is it just visually? Is it just visually on a treadmill? If I had an actual treadmill, I would get on it. He has a treadmill now? Oh man, I missed it. I've missed it. Gets on the treadmill and speeds up each level. Oh no. Well, I mean, what's our record for a hype train? I don't think our record's very high. I think it's only like level 11. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure like our record is only 11, and I'm pretty sure it's been that way for a while. Probably from a birthday or something. Probably. Oh, to the record. Oh, gotcha. Okay, let's put this away. I have no idea what to talk about today, chat. I have not looked at the news today. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I haven't looked at the news, at least much at the news today. But what was it? The highest I saw, he was level 20. It looked like he was going to pass out. Was he like sprinting at that point? Like, what's the speed increase? It's a walking pad. I don't think it could get very fast. I'm pretty sure walking pads aren't meant to go for like runs. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you can't, or at least shouldn't, go running or even close to sprinting on a walking pad, right? True, we could talk about the fact that they canceled Kimmel because apparently of his fucking remarks about Charlie Kirk. He's got thighs the size of watermelons by now. Cardio is not going to make your thighs bigger. Cardio is for burning off calories, not for making muscles bigger. Burning off calories and increasing stamina. Squats will make thighs bigger. Oh, good lord. Until the hype train is done. That makes sense. That would make it part of the reward for doing a hype train. Trying to put transgenders in straight jackets. Transgender. That's a weird way to put that. Transgender people. There you go. Put the word people in there in straight jackets. Anyone who supports them, that's fucking happens. Oh yeah, what was it? Action 4? Is that what it was? Action T4. That's what it was. Action T4. Action T4. Campaign of mass murder by involuntary euthanasia from targeting people with disabilities or the mentally ill in Nazi Germany. Term was first used in post-war trials against doctors who had been involved in the killings. Name T4 is an abbreviation. I am gonna fucking butcher this word. Tiergartenstraub? For Tiergartenstraub? A street address of the Chancellery Department set up in early 1940 in the Berlin borough of Tiergarten, which recruited and paid personnel associated with Action T4. I'm probably dyslexic, leave me alone. Well, you left out a whole word, so listen, I do that sometimes. I will literally type like a whole paragraph, thinking the paragraph so fast that like I don't realize I skip words. Did I just accidentally a word? That's dyslexia, I've been told? No, that is not what dyslexia is. Not even a little bit. I don't know who told you that was the definition of dyslexia, but from what I've learned about it, fuck no, it's not. That's just thinking faster than your mouth or hands can cache. I'm pretty sure that's not dyslexia. That's just moving too fast for your own good. Writing this massive piece of text goes back to read who put all these spelling mistakes. Yeah, that's sometimes I would do that. So what was it? In school, in primary school, we had typing classes. We weren't allowed to like look at the keyboard, even to the point where we had black like, hi Gemini, welcome in. What's a Scot? A Scotsman. A Scotsman. A Scottish person. But we would have like the latex covers, so we couldn't see the keyboards, we'd have to type. But what I started doing in college, especially when I was taking notes or when I was working on an essay and the stream of thoughts were just coming, is I would either completely zone out on the professor talking or the presentation and just type away. And I would come back to it later. And of course, there's spelling errors abundant, but I would at least be able to correct them. Old Man Windbreaker, thank you for the 3 stream streak. Holy shit, dude. Good morning. Good morning. This joke makes even less sense now. Which joke? What joke? I'm confused. What joke we talking about? Run it by me again, Captain. Okay. Had my own typing posture from habits, and I would type faster than the teacher using proper posture. Huh. I don't know. Anytime I hear proper posture at a keyboard, I just think of the meme of the like dude slouched at the keyboard, and then it's like proper posture, and the person, he's like all dressed up, like big high heels, back straight. What the hell even is posture? Sitting up straight so that you're not like fucking hunched over like I just found myself doing. This is Doubtfire. Hello! Physician from his first term said that we may need to... What the fuck? Feet flat, back straight, hands level with the keyboard? Yes. And like technically, if your hands are on your desk, they should be at like an L-shaped angle with your body is the preferred posture. So technically I should bring my keyboard closer. Tappity, 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 tap. Anyway. Yeah, shit's fucked currently. Clip that. Wait, which part? I mean, you can clip it, Vapor. The sit up straight, bring the keyboard closer. Tappity, 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 tap. Anyway. Oh God, why is boycott Disney trending? Do I want to know? Wait, what? Oh, okay. Okay, it's because of the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Because Disney owns the networks that are shutting it down. ABC, Fox Entertainment, ESPN, Lucasfilm, Marvel, BAMTech, Pixar, and Hulu are all owned by Disney, and that's people are calling to boycott them. Gotcha. Step one of sanitizing media. Yep. I mean, Sorry, I just saw an account apparently liked my tweet that was just my channel link, and it's called Twitch/Kick Promoter at Art by Kick. Who are you? You don't even follow me. Where did you come from? Weird. That's occasionally I do get like, what is it? Retweets or like not follows, but likes from like those weird Twitter pages that are effectively just like promoter accounts, I guess is what you could call them. Where they're just like, all they do is it's a bunch of people that follow it so they can find other streamers and stuff. I don't know. I think it's a weird thing. Sunstar? Are you behaving? I have that in my clipboard now? What do you mean you have it in your clipboard now? Okay. But other than like those kinds of news, I really don't think there's much going on right now. At least that's worth talking about. That isn't going to be consequence culture. Why is consequence culture trending? Okay. Oh, okay. It's right-wing people claiming it's not cancel culture because cancel culture is over. It's now consequence culture because now it's leftists finding out consequences. Can't even remember my most common keybinds. Oh, wait, Windows. Isn't it Control V to paste? Control C is copy to clipboard. Control V is paste from clipboard. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. I actually saw a video this morning from apparently a barista that was saying apparently people are going to like places like Starbucks and coffee shops and stuff. Hi, Zach. Of consequence culture. Oh, is it? And they're apparently making their names Charlie Kirk, demanding people to say it. And then if they don't say it when they call for their coffee, they take the person's name and then try to get them fired. Which, honestly, good fucking luck, dude. In the case, not like literally good luck, but how about eat ass? Doesn't know obscure Windows features, clipboard history? Oh. Oh, wait, Windows V? Ooh. Wait, this also says emoji. Emoji. Oh. GIF? Wait, I can search Tinner GIFs on fucking Windows? That's crazy. Why can I do that? How you defeat... Oh, good lord. I don't even remember how to say that name. Isn't that the weird imp from Batman? I'd constantly just say the wrong name that's just slightly different. I would just say like Charlie or something, and then when the person came up, I'd look them dead and I'd go, we both know that's not your name. Also, I don't wear name tags at work. I've worked at places where they like mandated having name tags. 9 times out of 10, I will purposely keep it in my pocket until somebody notices. Because I don't think anybody in public has a right to know my name. Just because I am working with them, they should be able to describe me if they need my help directly. Granted, I'm also really good at any job I've had, to the point where nobody's ever had to be like, hey, we can't find our bartender or waiter, whatever. They look like blah, 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 blah. Never had it once. Never had it once. Even then, if I'm forced to put a name on a name tag, I do my last name. I almost always do my last name. Charlie Cuck. Frappuccino for Charlie Cuck. Just a known source in the universe. No, the thing is, when you're good at your job, they don't ever have to go searching for you. So they never have to try and describe you or yell your name or anything. I give live in my workplace my spare if someone's being a bit weird about them. Ah. Oh, fuck no, I don't introduce them. They don't need to know my name. I'm here to provide a service. If my service is good enough, you don't need to know my name for shit. It's Fappuccino? Ah, Fappuccino. I got you. Fappuccino for Charlie Cuck. I hate introducing myself. So if it's a person I'm only meeting once, I fucking won't. My name is what? My name is who? My name is Macbeth? Oh my god. Who's fapping in the chino? Oh, David in the back. I guess. Wait. Ugh. It wasn't cancel culture before, and now it's consequence culture. As if previously right-wing people getting canceled literally wasn't just the consequences of their actions. Fucking joke. Fucking joke. Oh yeah, these are all just people. Fucking insanity, dude. Fucking insanity. Consume the product, consumer. You can't boycott us. We've banned boycotting. Minus the fact that that is completely unenforceable. No, you have to watch Disney Plus and buy the premium subscription and go to McDonald's. You can't boycott those companies. You can't not go to those companies. You gotta. How about you eat my ass? How about you eat my entire ass? I hope you choke on it. Why Disney Plus bad? Disney owns the companies that like shut down Jimmy Kimmel and stuff. Those are their networks. Why would I need Disney? Exactly. Okay, boss, lol. Yeah, just okay. It's that goofy like food in your mouth, thumbs up. Okay, sure. Remember when they were boycotting Disney for being woke? Thing is, I never paid for anything Disney. I've never had Disney Plus. I've never had Hulu. I had a roommate that had Hulu, and we watched stuff on Hulu, but I didn't pay for it. Never paid for, what is it? Never paid for Netflix. I did have Amazon Prime for a while, but I got rid of that like probably close to a year ago. Maybe over a year. I think it's been over a year. Consistency is not their middle name. Correct. With the Affordable Care Act, they just made it halfway illegal to not have private insurance. I'm sure they'll find a way to get Congress on it. I don't have health insurance. I can't afford health insurance because the cheapest health insurance I can get is still $300 a month. Boy, I hope I don't have any illnesses I might have concerns about. Ugh. Wait, what? 12-foot golden statue of President Trump holding a Bitcoin was unveiled outside the Capitol on 3rd Street. That statue is not metal. It looks like plastic. The fucking people in the comments. Nebuchadnezzar. Something false idols. That's exactly what all the comments and stuff are. I worship the golden calf to own the libs. Amazing. Amazing. Good Lord. I'm not a picture person, but only pictures is Malvin coin. Oh, good Lord. Gonna be a great day for street artists. Let's go. Again, do you want to see this? Do you want to see this picture? Here, real quick. Real quick. We'll do the screen. Oh, where is this? It's the home one. There it is. There's a couple pictures. Like, this shit is plastic. Possibly even 3D printed. It really looks like it could have been 3D printed. Either that or some schmuck with a plastic mold decided that they were willing to make a giant fucking mold for this. Are they trying to make us Kazakhstan? I mean, at least this one's real metal. Not gonna lie, at least this one's real metal. Like, this is 100% not metal. If it is, they did a shit paint job. There is literally nothing interesting about the statue. They even added in the fucking overhang on his coat. Look how his coat connects to the body. This screams that it was a mold. That it came through like a plastic mold or something. Because they didn't even make the disconnect of the jacket. Too long, more like injection molding. Well, I mean, if they did it all in pieces on industrial PVC printers. The thing is, it's a little too smooth for that, which is why I don't think it's it. Yeah, it looks like mold injection. Plastic. I kind of want to see, I wish there was a live stream of it just to see how fast people would like just fuck it up. I don't know what statue that is. Oh, Turkmenbashi? Turkmenbashi. I don't know who that is. To mark Fed rate decision? Jesus. Okay. Ridiculous. Re-fucking... Actually, you know what? Let's go to the desk instead of the big screen. Wait for that to finish moving. Desk. Desk. Do they post sentries around it? I don't know. There's no pictures of, like, its feet. It seems to literally just be these 3 pictures. Regardless, stupid. Desk. Yes, desk. Can we just go take that and melt it down? I mean, you could melt it with a blow dryer. Honestly, it doesn't even look like gold. That's the thing. It looks like plastic. It looks like somebody got like just mixed orange and yellow plastic to get the color that they were looking for. But trying to see if there's anything else going on. Melt it like the gif of the chocolate bunny? Yes. Or a big concave mirror? That would be kind of funny. That would be kind of funny. This too shall pass. But like, holy fuck. Amazing. But... Oh, yes, we should probably talk about this. Oh, Jesus. The attempt at marking Antifa a terrorist organization. Are you saying... Hold on. I wish I had the words. I wish I had Trump's words. Let me see if I can find it. Real quick, while I'm trying to find his words for it. Antifa is not an organization. It's just you could call it a mentality. You could call it a section of the political spectrum. Anti-fascist. And they are claiming that being anti-fascist is left. Insert fucking GI robots. Just look forward. Oh boy. Yeah, apparently it's not. What are you saying? What are you saying, Mr. Government? Yeah. Antifa is the weird name for a terrorist group. She was an eco-terrorist. Good. Can't believe I'm a terrorist by Czech Snokes wants everyone to have human rights. Interesting. I think every person should have the right to live under the decrees that the country believes it was founded on, even though they just seem to spout and dance around it. Is being eepy? Well, you better go back to eep. I think anti-fascist should be better suited for all than just left. Oh, yeah. You would think so. But when somebody on the right goes, oh, hold on. I have like a tickle in my throat. Jesus. Okay. Need a sound. Wait, what the heck was that? A sound clip of GI Robot going, that sounds like something a Nazi would say. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sounds about the same as saying if you're anti-fascist, then you're anti-American. Yeah. That is in fact on par with that. In the same way that the Giant Academy Award is gold. Giant Academy Award. Oh, yep. Yep. The giant Oscar trophy. Yeah, that is plastic as fuck. At least they figured out how to make it shiny. At least they figured out the right materials to make the fucking the giant Oscar trophy shiny. Instead of the weird, God, I don't know what to call it. Mats, yeah. Gold isn't real. Money isn't real. We made that shit up. We can unmake it if we needed to, but we don't want to, apparently, because we decided capitalism was the better alternative to feudalism. and then decided to stomp out anyone else that decided to make a better system for the masses. I would say it's fine, but it is in fact not fine. Not fine at all. The statue's gold and since it's the same. Okay, gotcha. Catching up. Catching up. But oh, good lord. Oh, okay. I was just checking. I had a translated tweet that I saw. Stock market is pure vibes. Right now, stock market has always been pure vibes. It's money feelings. How's your money gonna feel when it sits somewhere else? The winners suck up the money of the losers. It's gambling. It's manipulated gambling, which, depending on how you feel about casinos, could potentially be literally the exact same thing. The stock market is pure vibes right now. It's always been pure vibes. It's always been pure vibes by the wealthy deciding where they're going to put their money, which inadvertently makes the average man want to put their money there too, which then, when they inevitably lose, the stockholders pull out and they make a profit. Leaving the gold standard was a mistake? Yes. It is. It's rich people casino. And I don't know if this administration was doing it, but I remember hearing that apparently they were considering opening up the investment of private equity, because to invest in private equity, I don't remember the minimum cost. Let me double check. Maybe that's Googleable. Investment in private equity. I want to say it's like 200,000. Okay, no, as low as 25,000. Or for accredited investors. Common minimum for institutional grade funds is $250,000 to $1 million. The thing is, though, they've been essentially lobbying the United States government for a while to try and get permission to open the private equity markets to effectively the average person, where they could buy sections of these shares in private equity. Again, though, it's a fucking pyramid scheme. Private equity goes from business, buys up cheap business to business, guts it for what it's worth, liquidizes it, and then walks away with all the money in their pockets. Like Red Lobster got bought up by a private equity firm. Their land was bought out from under them and then rented back to the locations. And it's largely believed the reason the private equity company bought Red Lobster was not for the restaurants, well, because Red Lobster also owned its own seafood supply chain. Red Lobster, prior to its acquisition by this equity firm, had its own seafood processing company, fishery companies, all the way back. And now it's everything's a fucking pyramid scheme of the United States, dude. It's either a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme when it comes to economy. Money is pushed further down the road. Money is lined into pockets. It's thrown back into investments. The fucking city building in the United States is literally a Ponzi scheme. Oh boy, do we get to talk about urbanism today? Chats. Do you want to learn about why cities are going bankrupt all across the United States, even though they're gigantic? Is the Ponzi scheme correct? Correct. Have they stopped printing money yet? I know during COVID, America and UK decided that money printers should go burr. No, I couldn't tell you. All right, kids, time to talk about the sprawl effect. We're going to use some examples of good cities really quick. Good cities, if you want to avoid a sprawl effect, which we will get to after this. Think of cities in, say, the Netherlands. You have a urban center that only spans out so far, and then you have good, transportation. In the case of the Netherlands, you get on a train, you go to the next town over, and that town sprawls out slightly in a circle. Yes, Lord Dane, Dutch mentioned, because y'all do this well. So instead of having what is essentially a massive urban center and a whole bunch of suburban towns outside that have all grown together and are now sprawling outward from the main center of the urban center. Actually, here, you know what we're gonna do? Where's Windows Paint? It's paint time, kids. Need to zoom in. Why won't you let me zoom in? Okay. Screen time. Yoink, yoink. Yoinkity yoink. Paint, 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 paint. MS Paint. Oh, it's not going to work. Hold on a second. Okay, we're going to minimize that. Get rid of that display capture. That'll do. I need a couple circles. All right. So, average United States city. Let's say, we'll do like the example of, say, like Houston. That's a little thick, but it'll be fine. So, we get our city. This is our urban center. Over the years, it begins to sprawl out. Actually, let me think. What's a better way to display this? Let's do it this way. Give me pin. So you have your main urban centers. Say this is Houston. This is downtown Houston. Been here longer. It's been here a while. Previously, you also have like smaller towns. So like Woodlands, the Woodlands, a few other places here and there. DFW is probably a good example of this too, but it's more like a buy side. And you have these small towns that are out here at like the founding of Houston and stuff because people spread out. It's previously, what's the word? Opposite of urban. Rural areas. Eventually, Houston starts to sprawl. It starts growing outward. So then you end up, say, 20 years later, 50 years down the line. Houston's grown, let's say, lopsided. We'll say it's lopsided. It's now grown out one side and has essentially absorbed the suburbs into itself. And it just keeps doing this. It just keeps getting bigger. Houston just keeps getting bigger over and over until it has absorbed most of these suburban towns around it. The thing is, all of the economic opportunity is actually good. This is a good point. Let me get... Oh, no, I didn't want to change that. I wanted to... Where is this the paint bucket icon? I think it is. All right. All the economic opportunity is here. This is where all of the taxes, all of the jobs, all of the stuff that like makes Houston money is. Houston, Blug, we're more talking urban centers. I'm using Houston as an example because I'm in Texas and Houston sucks. But as you spread out, you end up with fewer and fewer densities and people further and further apart. I'm not gonna, God fucking damn it. Just imagine that part's the pink. And the further out you get, the more spread out and the lower density is, to the point where you get to the yellow and you end up with like subdivisions, if that makes sense. The like really shitty subdivisions that are way out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Those subdivisions have the largest amount of cost return as any other location because they have to build water out there. They have to make electrical lines all the way out there. While all of that is subsidized by the center. All of the money raised by taxes or income or anything has to go outward to subsidize all of these other towns and suburbs. Listening to this because my state has only like 3 technical cities. Fucking trees, so I've never really seen places like this. Your cities probably still have this. You may not have noticed, but they probably still do. Like Austin has this, DFW has this. But the point I was going to get at later is, let me see, another method that some other places do is, let's say, Amsterdam's probably a good example. So Amsterdam's kind of sort of, oh, that's yellow. I don't want yellow. I wish I could, where's the size change for this thing? Is it here? Ah, yeah, there we go. I don't use Windows Paint ever. But say here's Amsterdam. Amsterdam is the hub. Main city of Netherlands. It's fine. This is also the point where Ordained yells at me. Also, hi, Taco Cowboy. Laughing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the same way. Don't you think this is almost every major city in the United States is like this, where it sprawls out.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
Instead of having like this major sprawling effect, what some European countries do, I'm not going to say all, I'm not going to say most, but I do know the Netherlands does this pretty decently, is they have good mass transportation in the case of trains. And the train lines go out all, we'll just say across the country, to the point where they are easily available to every person. So instead of the city sprawling out, you end up with new urban centers. That's still the line. I meant to change to circle. You end up with more urban centers all along the line that all have residential economic focus to the point where they're not subsidizing other cities around them. Essentially, you end up with a bunch of small urban centers scattered across the landscape that are far more easily accessible than going to a fucking gigantic metropolis urban center in the United States. 10 sit-ups. All right, give me a minute. Amtrak sucks so much. Public rail services suck. Correct. We can talk about Amtrak and why the United States has arguably one of the worst train lines on the fucking planet. We could do that. I've had that rant before, but we can do it again. All right. All right, folks, real quick. Don't save that. Mass transit rants. No, we were talking about urban sprawl. Many Western countries, in the case of like a lot of like London and stuff, or most United States cities tend to sprawl. Same thing with Portland, Oregon. They are subsidizing the suburbs. You may just be like, oh yeah, I'll like, the more it sprawls, the more utilities you have to build, the more fucking like people spread out, the more expensive it is for whatever, what's the word? Jurisdiction, whatever jurisdiction it falls under. It's done. The London effect, where the city slowly swallows the urban areas. Wait, elaborate on that. California? Yeah. Again, this is not, listen, we could fucking, we could say every single capital of every single state is like that, except maybe Honolulu, because they have an island. But they do have, I'm pretty sure they have a big urban center, don't they? Sydney, Australia, rail transit was pretty good. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know what Sydney's rail transit is like, but looking for neighbors to poach water from. Yep. Boise. Yep, Boise. Boise, Idaho. Sterilizing that American cities need to balkanize? No? I'm saying they need to make better urban centers and make fucking suburbs much more reliant on themselves than the nearest largest city. Introduce better transportation. Introduce jobs to these suburbs so people don't always have to fucking transit to the major city. Has several towns and I think a city as it has expanded. Yeah, that's called sprawling. That's the urban sprawl effect. It swallows the previously suburban towns. Looks at Hyundai plant and cries. Yeah. Yeah, they fucked that one. Actually, I don't think that was even a suburb. That was a rural town, wasn't it? Yes. Also Los Angeles, yeah. Los Angeles, San Francisco, all of those. If you go to a city and you can name places around, like fucking DFW, Plano, Arlington, Grand Prairie, like those are all suburbs that were swallowed up in the sprawl of DFW. Annexed or whatever. The thing is, like, they don't lose their names, but they don't exactly like, they're now just swallowed into the entire urban sprawl of the major city. It's even worse in the United States because then they start putting fucking highways. I thought sprawling was just building new layers to the city, like a ring around it. No, I couldn't convey it properly. It's literally much slower than it looks. It's not layer upon layer. That was just the best way I could convey it simply in paint. I understand it probably wasn't the best image. The capital of my city, I don't think applies here. There's a different city that could, but it's not the capital. Which city? Which city? Screw Amsterdam? I know, Ordain, you don't like Amsterdam. But you don't live in Amsterdam, and you still have a fulfilling job in whatever urban center you live in. Don't tell us the place. You don't tell us the place. West Virginia, at this point, where I was originally from, got a huge shot of diversity rare in West Virginia, and I could have had it all multicultural and in the beautiful hollers. Oh my God. Why would anybody need these freeway when you can take the red car for a nickel? Oh, yeah. Yeah, like mentioning state is fine. Mentioning a state is fine. Usually, though, just mentioning like your specific city, the implication that that's the city you live in, I would not recommend. I'd life over there. You life over there. You life. I hope you life. Wait, what was the thing that somebody else brought up that... Oh, Amtrak. That's what it was. Do we actually want to talk about Amtrak real quick on the spiel that makes the U.S. commuter trains the fucking worst on the planet? I'm from Bitchville, Trumpinstan, USA. Amazing, Ford. All right, mods, get him. No, I'm kidding. You know what I mean? I know. I know. Listen, it's fine. But yeah, we've mentioned the reason that like Amtrak and most commuter trains in the United States suck ass. And that is like 99% because there's no commuter rails. There's no such thing as commuter rails in the United States. Every single rail in the United States is a cargo rail that the commuter trains have been given permission to exist on. Which is worse because they also made the law that commuter trains have the right of way. But the exchange networks are only big enough for commuter trains now because train companies are largely unregulated, get to do essentially whatever they want. So what they did was they made better engines and made them longer than the exchange lanes. So now, no matter where you are in the United States, if a cargo train is coming, the cargo train has de facto right of way, even though that's not what the law says. It's entirely because the train can't swap. It can't tuck away anywhere because exchange lanes are usually about 75 cars in length. Most cargo trains in the United States are 150 plus these days. Yes, correct, it was. You are absolutely correct. But they weren't built for commuter travel. They were built for cargo to get things to places where people were building stuff. You know the rule of law doesn't matter here. Oh, silly me. I thought we still cared. I know we don't. I know we never did. Concord is the capital of New Hampshire. Well, technically a city. Well, yeah, it's fucking New Hampshire. I've been to New Hampshire. It's not worth going to New Hampshire. Why the hell does your state, Logan, live free or die? Built much more like a small town with mostly local businesses. Manchester, yeah, that sounds about right. Our Queen City, on the other hand, is much more stereotypical city. Yeah, it's like in Maine. What is it? Augusta, Maine is the capital. Is it Augusta? I can't remember exactly. Let me double check. Yeah, okay, it was Augusta. For some reason that felt wrong. But yeah, Augusta's the capital, but Portland is Maine's largest city. Where I don't respect the law majority of the time because it doesn't respect me because I'm fucking poor. Yep. Corpus said, fuck the people, my profits matter more. Yeah, and we don't even get like the mega building cheap as dirt apartments for like $400 a month. Where's my €400 a month apartment? I need it. No. Same in Oregon. Salem is much more like a small city, where the major hub in Portland, which is 3 times its size. Yep. They have to take the long, grueling process of making a trolley system and fighting for extension to make it more viable. That's the downside when it comes to most like urban places, is they do shit like that, where like the city council or anything will start planning for like big, like, what is it? Essentially train things. Work it? Sit-ups? Okay, still got to do those sit-ups. Okay, we got 5 minutes until ad break. But that's not how that works. That's the damn problem. That's how you told us and says it works in the books. And you're just like, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Bitch. I swear to God. I swear to God. Head ass. In New Jersey Transit? Yes. Do you want to know what they are? They are attempting to build a metro system, deciding that's too expensive because digging under the city would cost too much and require way too much construction, giving up on that, considering a light rail system on surface level, realizing that that means they would have to sacrifice car traffic in the downtown center, rewinding that to being like, maybe we can make a bus route transit system that goes around the city with protected lanes and such, and then realizing they don't actually want to put in the effort for that, and then it just turns into a bus. And the world's worst fucking schedule that's never on time, is loud and obnoxious, and it gets stuck in traffic with regular cars, which is the dumbest shit imaginable. It's so insane anytime I see like those live streamed city council meetings and stuff where somebody comes in there and they want to like advocate for like bus or light rail prioritization, like give them their own lanes, give them priority on the stoplights, program them so that they know when those vehicles are coming up and they get priority and they just go. Make mass transit a priority over single driver cars. And every time some fucking NIMBY with no will to continue, like, wants to drive their Tesla and would rather throw a bitch fit when a train of 40 plus people, not a train, light rail, or a bus of 40 plus people goes ahead of them at a single red light. With armored cow catchers in the front, you will yield? Listen, that would actually be pretty fucking great. That would be pretty fucking great. And when you apply for jobs, if you don't have a car, you're fucked. If you don't have reliable transportation, you're fucked. Which in the United States, 99% of the time means have a car. Because if you tell them you take the bus, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's not really reliable. Trolley buses, unlimited torque on demand. I don't know about unlimited, but a lot. I would say a lot for sure. But yeah, cities shoot themselves in the feet all the time for the sheer benefits of fucking car drivers. And it's so stupid. Because those same people will also be like, wow, the city is so busy. Traffic kind of sucks. I know what we need to do. We need to make more lanes. We need to make sidewalks smaller. No, we can't add bike lanes to the downtown. That's dangerous. Fuck off, dude. God, don't even forget the fucking pitching the possibility of like making protected bike lanes or pedestrianizing streets, just turning certain sections of streets into completely pedestrianized. Only time that you can put vehicles on that road. America, that's Houston. That's Houston. Houston has a 10-lane road at one point on its highway. I had to wait to be picked up with a car. Fuck, dude. I wish buses in the United States were better. I wish buses could be expected to be on time. I wish buses had priority throughout the city so that if I wanted to, I could show up at a bus station and just be like, all right, I'm going to save a little bit of money instead of driving around all over town. I'm just going to take the bus to the mall or some shit. Oh, Jesus. Do we need to watch that video again? Do I need to show y'all the like shitty German that like some fucking tech billionaire company is trying to make like 2-passenger, 1-rail train cars that you have to call like it's a fucking Uber? How much turn signal I need to cross 4-lane interchange? None? Good luck, everybody else. All right. So yeah, we got a lot of new people here. So we'll ad break starting literally right now. Here, we'll swing over to the screen really quick. And I will get y'all. We'll do words on stream today. We did words yesterday, but we're going to do it again. And then I will try to find the video during this commercial break and we can watch. It's like 10 minutes and then we can get into the game afterwards. Sealed pod so he doesn't have to be around the pores. Hyperloop will never work. Under no circumstance will it ever work. I promise you. There is no method in any way that you could build a Hyperloop and it'll work. All right, I need to go to YouTube. That's where I was heading. That's where I was going. Okay. I'm trying to remember who made this video. Let me see. I think it was Tech Billionaires. Tech Bro remakes trains or reinvents trains. Let's see if I find it that way. Found it. Oh, it's 7 minutes. Even better. Tech Bros invented trains again. All right. All right. I have it ready for after the commercial break. Make sure I change the audio. 360p this whole time. Sometimes my default's 360p when I'm watching somebody, yeah. Accelerate them constantly in the Hyperloop. Oh, wait, that's a Hadron Collider? Yeah. Hyper, thank you for renewing your season pass. Also, I need to do 10 sit-ups really quick, so let me do that while the commercial break's going. Yeah. Go away, chair. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. I think I need to change what the like core workouts are for like the selection. Like I could do left, right, like interchanges or like leg raises. I think leg raises would be better than sit-ups. Ugh. I was wondering where my Marin wiggles were. Yeah, wiggle away. If you ain't kissing your knees. It's the thing though, sit-ups aren't even that great of a core workout. We still got a minute and a half, so we'll do another one. What if we're accidentally doing Killzone and all the rich people move to Mars, leaving us the ruined Earth, but then shit goes sideways? They come back with an army and demand to take Earth back? Can we kill them? In Minecraft. In this science fiction alternate scenario, if they decide to abandon us, we fix everything and then they come back. We kill them. Do you think the big softies that couldn't stand living on a planet that they ruined go to another planet, live there for a while, and then come back are going to be anything more than just going to get crushed by the people that like farmed and rebuilt Earth? Fuck them. Fuck them. That's such a good emote. Try not to paint an already existing concept white and sell it as a new challenge. Impossible. Thanks, Tech Bros. If you ever hear me say Tech Bros, I want you to, instead of hearing Tech Bros in your head, I want you all to hear moron. Because that's what I'm thinking when I say the word tech bros. Because every one of these dudes is a fucking idiot. I don't know how they made their money, more than likely through fucking scalping people on cryptocurrency. I am like 90% sure on that. Basically workers that got shafted and became militarized. Yeah. That reminds me, I kind of want to play Wolfenstein. Who started the hype train? Chaotic Review, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Wait, we aren't equalizing the word tech bro with grifter, asshole, and idiots? No, that's exactly how I'm picturing it. But my Marin coin though, do you have a Marin coin? Do you have a Marin coin? Sensory Nerd, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. All right. Here, we're putting words and stream away. Y'all ready to see how tech bros are fucking brain dead? All right, hold on. Where's the music? There it is. Why also do I have so many notifications? Hold on a second. I should have checked that during the commercial break, but I didn't. All right, let's do this.
This is the monocab, a two-wheeled gyroscopic autonomous battery-powered rail pod balancing itself on a single rail. According to its creators, the monocab is a high-tech, flexible, individualized mode of sustainable rail transportation that can breathe new life into closed-down branch
Welcome
lines.
in.
Do you live near one of those branch lines and want to
here,
travel
captions.
somewhere? Just open the app and order one of the rail pods.
Oh,
they will
yes,
whisk you to
Uber
your
train
destination
pods
in a cabin
that can
slightly
only
wider
go
than
at
a coffin,
maybe 30
all while
miles an
balancing
hour.
itself on a single rail using their built-in gyroscopes. Why on a
Yay,
single
gyroscopes.
rail? Indeed, why?
'Cause
So that
everything
two
has
of
to
us
be
can
on a
pass each
fucking
other even on a
gyroscope.
single track, bringing much-needed capacity to these deserted branch lines
These aren't even in America. This is in Germany.
no one uses. Okay, so why is this idea the height of idiocy, and what should we build instead?
If I remember correctly,
Let's take
they
a
were
look. The
they were
monocab is
practicing these
marketing
things
itself
in
basically
Germany
as an
on
Uber
abandoned
of
rails.
Just go to your local closed down branch line, open the app, call a train, a pod, and then wait half an
Pods.
hour
Their
until your
obsession with
painfully
pods,
slow
dude.
rolling coffin
This
shows up
they're
to
this
you. And
weird
this whole idea
hyper
is a result of two
individualism
major
bullshit.
failures, one on a systemic level and one on an individual level.
That's
We'll
how
talk
fast
about
it can
the
go right there.
systemic
That's
failure
it.
in a moment.
I'd rather
As far as
fucking
the
walk.
individual level is concerned, it is extremely clear to me that the people who came up with the monocab have absolutely no idea how public transit
So hold on,
works,
what is
and
it?
least of all how trains work. Okay, so the monocab.
I will
As
do this.
painfully stupid this whole thing is, the underlying idea is quite noble. You want to find
Just
a
renew
way
the
to
lines like
restore rail
normal?
service on abandoned branch lines, and you want to do that because
Guess.
trains are a great form of transportation. They are efficient.
I was gonna say, yeah, I
scalable,
can walk
fast,
faster than that.
high
I can take a
capacity, and
bike
the
faster than
technology
that.
needed to create a functioning service can be very simple. For example, Switzerland's
This is
first
big mode of transport. They live on tiny islands on a floodplain. Oh, hey, yeah, that's the Netherlands.
Efficient, high-capacity, environmentally friendly rail. We've been doing it for 1.25
Nah, this is
centuries.
Germany.
But then tech bros are like, yeah, that's cool and all. Epic, 420, Marvel, all that. But what if we took such a system
Marvel.
and made it worse in pretty much every way?
Correct.
Why? Because it needs to travel on a single rail, so that
Here.
two trains
They make it worse in every single way because tech bros cannot come up with a novel invention to save their lives. Would walk up to me, shove me over, and take my bike and still go faster than this? Correct. Correct. The thing is, too, is like, how good are the gyroscopes? How fast do you think somebody's gonna like readjust themselves in the pod? I may have found your voice clone? Huh? What? Someone else? Because they didn't graduate by studying, they graduated by paying for a cert? Yep. If they even have that. Or they dropped out of high school, got lucky with cryptocurrency, and then started an investment business that then they were like, how can we make more money? What if we started inventing things? Proceeds to reinvent a bunch of the same shit that already exists over and over and over again, but worse. Readjust pretty quickly if there's food involved. Oh, I know Psycho. Wait, hold on. This one. this psycho. Gonna say, I'm gonna show you one reason why I don't like this comparison. Load, damn you. No food allowed on the monocab. This is her VR chat streams.
Dun, 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 dun. Mm.
Broken arms. Broken arms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Unga bung. I only drink water. Very nice. There's no coconut. I've never measured them. Like 3-4 inches?
What did we learn? Why are they so big? What do you mean? Honestly, I mean, like these are about the same size, probably. I was gonna say, I came, somebody rated her once, and I came across one of these streams, and I was like, okay, how often does she do this? Frequently. The answer is frequently.
I'm sorry, pods can
For VTubers, that's average. You're not lying. You're not lying.
At the low price of forcing passengers
Yeah,
into mobile.
Kids, if you ever need to know, there are two things that will always work in marketing: sex and patriotism. Those two things will always work.
Coffins. But why do you need the flexibility and capacity of a double track line?
Don't worry about it, Jade. Sex and propaganda.
Because they're tech bros. That's
Same thing, patriotism and propaganda.
You can only imagine the system as an individualized one. You don't
Oh,
have
hi, Coco.
schedules. You have an app because of
I just
course
heard her
you do,
claw the
and you
wall
can only
behind
activate
me,
the app because of
which
course
means
you
she
do,
was
and
asleep
get
under
to
the
your
bed.
destination very slowly in a better
And a
powered
propaganda.
autonomous pod because of course you do. So how about
Wait,
we
that's a-
try
that's
to
a good
improve the
joke. I
system
like that
together,
joke.
See if we can solve the many issues plaguing it. First off, we need to get rid of the individualized mass transit concept. What if we get this
Individualized
thing
mass
called a
transit? Are you
schedule, meaning
insane?
that vehicles will run at predetermined times, enabling us to plan ahead so that two trains will never meet each other on a single track section. Great, so now the trains can have at least 4 wheels and can therefore use both rails. So we can get rid of all those moving parts in the form of a goddamn spinning gyroscope right under the passenger compartment.
That was ordained in your
we
walls
can
again?
now make the train cars
Ordained?
wider than a coffin. So, you know, kinda like a regular
Are you talking about the mono
fucking
train or the monorail?
So there we go, we solved the problem. Let's just build a train, right?
Are you talking about the
Well,
monorail?
Unfortunately, that's not happening due to the aforementioned systemic failure when it comes to
What?
this project.
Hi, Ordain.
So this whole monocab line would operate between the German city of Kleve and
Does
the
Gander mean
Dutch
male
city
goose?
of
Yes, yes, it
Nijmegen.
does.
The monocab is an attempt to
It also
link
means
two
to
cities
take a
across
good
the
long
line of
look.
Transit. Currently, your only option is to take a bus, which takes almost an hour.
No, it's
compared
a male
to
goose
driving,
and
which
also
takes
to,
23 minutes. So the monocab wants to use
Yeah.
the former rail line between these two cities to connect them once again. Both Kleve and Nijmegen have an active rail connection, but the link between them is missing.
Okay.
On the German side, it's
There used to be a
interrupted by
train
parking
rail
lot
there.
right
Don't know
at
why
the
they got rid of it.
station, and in Nijmegen, the old line converges
Oh, hey,
with the
Grosbeak.
existing double-track main line, but is abandoned
Damn,
completely.
there really is a
And this
Grosbeck in
the
almost
big
every
systemic
country.
issue. Our political leaders would rather waste taxpayers' money on some bullshit autonomous, battery-powered, air-controlled, gyroscopic tech coffin rather than to invest money into real transit, like restoring the Kleve-Nijmegen rail line by electrifying it and running a fast, convenient rail service. that
Monorail?
could
Where's the
compete with
stereo
individual
rail?
traffic.
This is the stereo rail.
However,
There's
there
two
is a plot
rails.
twist. The German regional government is actually very interested
Comes from
in
both
restoring
sides.
the rail line. So are the locals in Kleve, which is the German side. The problem
exactly
is with
it, though.
Dutch
This is the
side,
reason.
where residents of one town, Groesbeck, do not want to hear it. They don't want any trains running there
NIMBYs!
because the city already got built out around the tracks, and it would disturb the French flair of the town's
French flair.
new central area, which is especially frustrating since right after Groesbeck there is the existing Dutch.
Oh,
main
hold on. Do you
line.
want the 7.5 channel? Okay, hold on. Hold on. There you go. Here's your 7.5 channel rail system. In Germany? Yeah, it's in Germany. French flair. French flair. These are NIMBYs.
to which the line from Klebeck would connect, thereby restoring the link to Nijmegen. Groesbeck is the only Dutch
Which they
town
would
in this
also
railway,
benefit
it's blocking
from.
the entire project. So when it comes to the monocab,
Just in
tech
Wisconsin.
bros are the least of our worries. The sorry state
It's the
of
bullet
transit
trains.
here is first off due to the 1990s neoliberal mania of closing local railways, misguided allocation of public grants, and local
Yay,
NIMBYism.
80s
But
and
the
90s
situation is not
liberalisms.
hopeless. I can definitely see some sort of tram train service that could appease the NIMBYs and still provide reasonable speed and quality. Tram trains are, well...
I play Ticket to Ride because I want to ride
inside cities, they
trains.
act like trams.
Gross
Outside
beak.
cities, they act like trains. The Stadler City Link is a great example. It's basically a heavy-duty tram capable of a 100 kilometers per hour top speed.
Yeah,
on
you would think
regular
of the
heavy-duty
monorail.
tracks. So if you want
Monorails
to
are
restore
interesting, and
service
some
between
cities
Klebeck
do
and
have
Nijmegen,
them.
Do not look to monorail, gyroscopic...
But there are way too many
battery-powered,
requirements for a
controlled coffin
monorail.
pads. Just build a fucking tram train. Building or restoring a transit line between cities
oh,
is
it skipped a
difficult,
sponsor. It
it's a
skipped a
pain in
sponsor.
the
That's
ass,
what that was.
and it's very much needed. But as always, tech bros and their fever dreams
Like
will not
Transport
get us
Fever?
out of
If I had the
this.
game, I
Time,
would.
Money, hard negotiations,
I do have,
and
like...
creativity will.
What's that
Like
city
the
building game
F-150
again?
tram train solution.
With like all the DLC on my wish list. Alright, that it skipped its sponsors and shit. But... Where was I? There was something else. There was something else I was going to bring up, but now I can't remember what it was. I do not remember at all what it was. Skylines? Yes. City Skylines. And then I have like a bunch of the public transport DLC already on my wish list. Monorails have a song? Do they? Doesn't make them better. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Oops, turned the music volume too quiet in my ears. He deeply deconstructs the ideas. True. He's also done videos, I'm pretty sure, on monorails, which it's either him or somebody else where I learned like why monorails are really fucking stupid. Do they work? Yes. But do they have way too many fucking requirements that make them effectively a novelty over functional transport? Yeah. That's like urban gondolas. Urban gondolas are an insane concept that are nothing more than a novelty. I do not know any Russian words, Botnik. Ah! Sikablet. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Thanks, Counter-Strike. Thanks, playing Counter-Strike as a teenager. God damn! Sorry. Comes to traffic and transit setups, the local populace shouldn't have a say because local populace are always stupid as fuck. I wish that, again, it comes down to the NIMBYs. If anybody doesn't know what NIMBY means, it means not in my neighborhood. Actually, let me double check for sure. Usually it's not in my neighborhood, but I want to double check. Not in my backyard. That's it. It's not in my backyard to be exact, but most of the time it's not in my neighborhood or not near me. Not in my backyard. Thank you. Thank you, Spare. Yeah, I was gonna say my brain had yard in my mouth, but I was like, wait, that doesn't sound quite right. Yeah, it's stuff like that. They want these things. They just don't want them near them, which is kind of stupid. Honestly, I'd rather have a train station as close to me as possible. I mean, that is a, what is it? That is a selling factor in like Japan. They like calculate the distance to the nearest train station for many houses in Japan. So when they're selling it, they can be like, yeah, it's like a 5-minute walk to the train station. It's a 10-minute walk to the train station. Has not gotten the hydroelectric dam. I live on a fucking... Why? Their electrical prices would go down. Probably astronomically. 2 kilometers away from me. That's still not a bad walk. Yeah, it is a selling point in Japan. And usually, like, in America, when you go to buy a house, some of the details that they'll have, especially on, like, Zillow and stuff, they will have things like, where's the nearest school? How far is the nearest business? And, like, those are neat and all. But, like, they don't rate bikeability or walkability in the United States when you're buying a house. That's something you have to judge for yourself, which I always thought was so weird. I'll cut the power lines to every person who voted against it. He goes to the countryside, had one passenger. She was a student. They decided to wait until... Yeah, exactly. And that's because they have a rail company that cares. Rail companies in a lot of Western places don't care. Originally, most rail companies, well, except in the United States, most rail companies started as crown companies, government companies, all that jazz. Just like JR, aka Japan Rail. Eventually, it became too complicated and too expensive to let Japan Rail cover the entire country in rails and manage all of them. But they essentially, what's the word? They cut it into pieces. That's why you have like JR Central, North, South, and like quite a few others that manage smaller districts. And then they privatized. They're no longer government entities. But that means that they were able to buy real estate and construct their own buildings. Japan, and they also do the same thing in China, builds huge constructions on top of their train stations and immediately around it. That incentivizes companies, local companies, major corporations, and all that to rent space inside of their train stations and around it. As in Japan, they build fucking massive apartment buildings on top of train stations. In China, all those constructions fall. No, the fuck they don't. They just built a fucking 6-story train station. In, what was it, Shanghai? I don't know where you heard that China's construction falls down all the time. That's fucking propaganda, my dude. But the thing is that makes it profitable. People in the United States and a lot of times in North Korea, they're like, but then trains aren't profitable. One, they're public transportation. They're not supposed to be profitable. But these companies in China and Japan that build these massive train networks are profitable not because of the trains, but because of the realty that they own and people rent from them. By doing that, they have an income, a monthly income that they almost always put directly back into the trains. They put it back into the train network to improve service, to improve vehicles, to replace stuff that's broken over the years. It's your BS? Yeah, your BS. Exactly. But the United States never wants to do it. They never want to invest in building high-speed, long-distance rail because they're like, it's not profitable. Motherfucker, it's not supposed to be. But, God, rather than ever considering taking even the slightest hint from other countries, so many people just dismiss other countries' methods by being like, oh, but we're so much bigger. Not really. Like, hold on. Where's that map site real quick? Let's do the real sizes of countries. TrueSizeOf.com. All right. I need Japan. Thanks, Japan. All right. Oh, hold on. I'm going to bring the screen up in just a second. It's just that my mouse is absolutely shitting the bed. Okay. Let's do... Where is it? Where is it? Yoink, yoink. Yoink, yoink. Japan covers the entire eastern seaboard. You could build a train from Maine to fucking Florida. Like, it's practically as tall as the United States, north-south wise. And it's mostly mountainous. Compare Britain, it's so tiny. Yeah, like, you know. Japan's literally bigger than the UK. Japan is roughly shaped like the US major inhabited areas. Yeah. Like, if I remember correctly, doesn't like a massive chunk of the United States population all live on the eastern seaboard? And then practically the rest of it is on the western seaboard? I don't know the percentages, but I do know it's something like more than 50% of the entire US populations lives between the eastern and western seaboard, on the eastern or western seaboards. Yeah, it's almost like technological advancement and cruelty derives a certain sense of accomplishment and some self-righteous mentality of being allowed to own the rest of the world. God, see that zooming in and out is my mouse wheel not working properly. Yeah, using the site's pretty fun if anybody ever wants to go see the size things. Like, you can drag Russia. Like, the map itself is like very, very skewed. It's like you can also take the United States. See how it warps when it goes north? Then warps back down. This gives you a better idea of scale. You can actually get an idea of how big fucking Algeria is. That's bigger than the entire Midwest. All the way down to Texas. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Let's go ahead and put these away and we can get to the game in just a moment. Close window, pretty please. All right. Where is it? Banishers. Heavily, yes, correct. I saw a video, it was either this morning or last night that made me laugh. And it was, hold on a second. Okay. And it was basically, somebody had made a video. This was the second video of this person had made. Real gamer time? Yep, real gamer time. And I'm trying to remember his thing. He was basically talking about, he was talking about the, quote, continents of Europe and Asia. And he was like, I'm not going to call it Europe and Asia anymore because that's fucking stupid. It's Eurasia, was like what the original video was. And apparently somebody commented on it yelling at him that no, it's Europe and Asia. And the guy was like, oh yeah, okay. After further consideration, I have decided it is actually just Asia. It is Asia with the European peninsula. Congratulations. That's the only reason Europe is counted as a quote unquote, or taught in North America, at least, as a quote unquote continent, was because Europeans are baby back bitches. When that science is being written, they demand to be like individualized from actual geological continents. Russia's a Eurasian country? Yep, Tor. Yeah, but Europe is the peninsula. The continent is Asia. I can argue this all day. It's Asia. It's Asia. All right. Banishers. No more music. Turn up the volume a little bit. Okay, so last time our wife died and we had made the plan to go back to New Eden. It always has been. It always has been. It's all UK. My fucking ass. My fucking ass. All right, yeah. So we saved just after we got off from the campfire. I don't remember the controls for this game. Hold on. Into Cessna? Cessna? I get enough gaslighting from the current regime. Thanks, Europe and Asia? What? What are you on about? I'm talking geologically. That is the continent of Asia. This is not what I want. I want key bindings. There we go. Oh, switch characters. Ooh. I don't think they've given us that tutorial yet. Left click, right click. Okay, block and parry is C. Or a side mouse button, but I don't have that side mouse button. Okay, space is dodge. Oh, that's right, because I kept hitting shift to try and dodge, and it felt weird. Or, hold on, real quick. Oh, I don't have an Xbox. I don't use an Xbox controller. No. Yeah, I considered using a controller for this. Yes. Because I don't think I actually changed anything. All right. Have a good night, Amitsu. Thank you for hanging out. All right. So I know we're in a cave, but we still don't exactly... What was that?
What the hell happened here?
Was that OBS flickering? I only caught it out of the corner of my eye. Oh. Oh.
If you're gonna play with salt circles, you better get them right, lad.
So someone, I'm guessing, didn't do their ritual right? Question mark? 14th of September, doing one of our explorations of those new lands of which we first set foot many years ago. Agrad and I discovered a new place, a special place, a cave hidden behind a waterfall where none would find it. A strange feeling of lightness drew us to it, as though the veil between the incarnate and the invisible was as thin as the finest French silk. From the chamber emanated the power of the otherworld. Surely we thought that this was a fine place for ritual experimentation. Cave was larger than we had first thought, containing a multitude of galleries. Angrad and I decided to take young Shelley along with us to continue our exploration. Pleasant but ungifted, his father insisted that he train with experienced occultists. What a surprise it was when we found the mushrooms we needed for our rituals growing on the walls. We set about collecting them while I drew the symbols and prepared the ritual. We felt our power magnified tenfold. A whole page missing. Wait, what was the date before this one? 14th of September. Page missing, 18th of September. The cave is vast and dangerous. I heard whispers in the darkness. Something watched us. Neither Belden nor Shelley can hear them. Or so they say, but something lurks, I'm sure of it. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps the fever I had some weeks ago yet lingers. Last night, I caught young Shelley watching us sleep. He was talking to himself. It was unnerving.
See no bodies. Maybe the wolves took him.
Can you not see the symbols on the wall?
No.
Take my hand. I want to try something.
Touch. Touch. Why did the fire start? Oh.
Is that possible through our bane rings?
They allow us to connect the invisible and the incarnate through this bond.
I can't move.
I bestow on you.
Oh, there are bones here. Oh, I can't interact with those.
Webs made of spectral stains.
Let me.
Spectral web. To remove spectral webs reveals shrouded objects.
All these years, the things we must have missed.
The dead hide more from the living than we thought. This is going to be helpful.
Key to occultist equipment. Tab to open details. Wait, what? Key. Stained in dark blood. Okay. Okay. Hand holding. It's fine. It's fine. It's chat. It's okay. It's okay. This is an adult game. Okay. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I'm sure.
I feel a draft.
From the invisible.
Ah, interesting. Ooh. Oh, hell yeah. A lot of spectral dust. Excuse me. Pardon me. So now we get, like, we have different glows based on things that are... Oh, shit. Nevermore have I seen a more combat arena. Isn't holding hands how you get pregnant? It's okay. She's dead. You're new. What are you? Oh, hi.
I think I used to cope my wolf.
That scared the shit out of me for a second.
We can fight them together.
Ghost wolves. And stay in combat. Press left click to perform a punch attack that deals more damage to possessed corpses. Attacking with damage consumes spirit points. They were generated by Red's attacks. Okay. Pouch, pouch. Oh, she doesn't have a heavy attack. Oh god, she doesn't lock in. I forget what the lock-on button is. Oh, hi.
We did it.
We did. Thank you.
I wasn't much
Okay.
use.
You were.
Hold on.
I promise. You'll get better. Things will get better.
Okay, there were a bunch of stuff over here. Okay, that's the way we came in. So this is just the other side of the big cave. Is it tab? No, I changed it to something else. What did I change the lock-on button to? Because before it was something else, wasn't it? Key bindings. Finish, dodge, rifle, control. Lock targets. R, that's what we made it. Okay. Oh no, that was the default. We just found out that it was R. Oh. Okay, hold on. That looks interesting.
What is luck in here? Bastard.
We good? Mushroom, mushroom. Oh wow, bunch of mushrooms down here. A basket. And then, said that there was something else here. There we go. So we're the ones getting pregnant. Oh no, chat's pregnant. Demonologist note number 2. A weight sits on my chest. The cave roof looms over me like a colossus. It's not like me. I'll explore the cavernous depths. Angeron disagrees, fearing a fall into a crevice or some other fatal mishap. I reassured him that I am an experienced and capable explorer, as was my father before me. Shelley wishes to join the party. I don't trust the boy. I don't like the way he looks at me. He wishes to follow me into the depths, and something inside me screams no. Another missing page. I sicken. My organs burn. Hi, Coco. My blood withers. I will die. Such is the price of knowledge, we occultists say, but I regret. If I had known that suffering awaited, I would have turned us back, doused us in the icy waterfall, and left, burying the cave deep in my memory. May the demonic effluvia from our rituals take them away. I'm petting Coco. I'm sorry. I'm petting the baby. Hey, stinky pants. Don't lay down. I can't reach you if you lay down. She lay down. God damn it. God damn it. I can't pet you down there, baby.
End up mucking around with black magic. Always.
A climb? Okay. No, Coco, no, don't lay down. I can't pet you down there. Hello. Ooh, you look interesting. That's a spiffy chest we've never seen before. Oh, that was the key. Oh. Oh, okay. Select. Upgrades. Upgrades. Oh, I can't upgrade here. I have to be at the campfire. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, we can also upgrade the saber now. Hell yeah. There isn't a mushroom on top? What? What? What does that mean? Are we not going to talk about the fact that there's still lit lanterns and torches down here? I absolve you of your sins. Poof, just burst into flames. Oh, Jesus. God damn it. Am I going to get scared by her materializing next to me this whole game? Mushroom. I hear voices. Snack. Oh, a snack. Thank you for the leather. Girl, you gotta stop doing that.
That spectre. It's heading for that corpse.
Possess and interruption. Specters can attempt to possess corpses. You can interrupt a possession by attacking the specter for... Ah!
I can help.
Oh, I'm just barely out of reach. Pounce, pounce, pounce. Oh, and then it pops out? Oh,
I
interesting.
have another in sight.
Okay, you can't banish these.
Possession incoming.
Away with you.
Come here, bud. I feel like there's entirely too many spirits around here, but I guess not if they've all, like,
Just in Edentown.
collected over the entire existence of this place.
War, invasion, or
Nice.
colonization of a land that's vulnerable to haunting.
I'm glad they had the same question at the same time I did. Jesus, what? Oh, okay.
Hunting gear. There might be a lodge nearby.
You took yourself up there very fast.
That might take some getting used to, for both of us.
I say I see the ramp and I saw the treasure chests and stuff up here. Bear traps. Well, probably wolf traps. Give me the goods. We got so much money. I'm kind of scared to see what's going to be happening to the, Oh, wait. I saw that. Come here. To the town when we get back. I don't know if we're going to get back, like, immediately or we're going to find out we're on, like...
Will people be able to tell that I'm haunted?
Perhaps, if they had talent or training.
What if someone sees you?
Unlikely. If they had talent or training, they wouldn't have needed us banishers.
Okay. Another camp.
What happened to the trappers around here?
The woods are swarmed with specters. Hopefully,
Sure.
they're left.
All right. Blaming the living. Oh boy. Never trust a banisher, for even their name is a lie. Banishers are not the helpful agents trying to protect the rightful from the devil. They do not ban the evil spirits back to hell. No, they make use of the most insidious and nefarious magic. Have you ever looked at their hands and firearms, decaying from the corruption of their black arts? Have you ever read the despicable symbols they carve into the rings they always wear? Banishers are not different from any sorcerers or witch or devil worshippers, and they lie to the face of the just. They do not ban the evil, they subdue and tame the immortal soul, tainted or pure, dead or alive. Through their fancy words, they transvestite the truth of the Lord. That is an interesting use of that word. Essence, they say, and residue and spectral stains and releasing and closing. Lies, lies, lies. Do you know what they call a blame? A blame? It's when they steal the soul of the rightful before enslaving it for one of their many sinful activities. So never trust a banisher, since each time you make a deal with one of them, you must be the next they deprive of their eternal soul if they decide to blame you for any reason they choose. From naming the enemy by Fear God Waterbury. That's a hell of a name. Very interesting one. Oh, hello. That's a corpse. Good lord, dude. Wasn't there more, though? Mushroom. I guess not. I guess that was it. Okay. Oh, no. Rick Cop? We're Ghost Cop. What was that sound? Did y'all hear that? Like, what sound? Like a metallic shing sound? TLDR, banishers or feds? Do the feds steal your immortal soul? I wouldn't be surprised, but... okay, I guess we're going up. I mean, I suppose it makes sense if we're trying to get our bearings. I'm kind of scared to see what we're going to find at the top, though.
These witches you mentioned must know something about the nightmare.
Aye, but can we trust them?
Witches only
I want
involve
this
themselves
basket.
with people
Gimme.
if they absolutely have to.
All
You
the
must
items
have
for
good
all the
reason.
upgrades to make things easier in the future. No, Botnik, I don't. You asked that earlier. The CIA would if they fucking could. Probably.
I think I see a crossing over there.
Bridge.
Signs of civilization. Lucky me.
Bridge. I mean, technically there's torches everywhere, so like...
Nice place.
Ooh, more
Wolves and
mushrooms.
spectres aside.
Don't you have wolves and spectres in the Highlands?
Aye, but ours have the courtesy of letting me catch my breath between.
Also, hold on a second, chat. Coco's at the door. I think she wants to go out, so give me just a second. Don't you rumble at me. I love that dog. She's gotten so mouthy recently. It's very funny. Tuskegee's soul experiment. I'm sure it'll be highly ethical. No, they volunteered to have their souls removed. They signed this paperwork. See? Doesn't matter that they can't read.
Creeping ivy.
I always hated these sap-thirsty spectres.
Don't have the required manifestation to unlock this path now. Some obstacles are marked on your map. Okay. Any other neat things? Oh. Okay, hold on. We'll check that in a second.
Bad news.
Drop down
The
there.
bridge is out.
And we'll find another road to New Eden.
Okay, I can't
Strange.
swap to her right now,
I see
but
stains, but not the usual kind.
those are river stones.
There's a pattern to them. Don't you see it? It calls to me.
What? What? Okay, guess we're going down over here. And it's totally not going to be a combat arena.
I have strong ankles, but at this height, I'm gonna make it. I have strong ankles,
damn it.
but at this height, I'm gonna make it.
Okay, so we got to do something else. Oh, what are you looking at over here? Ooh.
And up and down we go.
Those stains. I could have grasped at them had I been stronger. It's hard to think clearly. The hunger is back and it's growing fast.
Wait, this is the way we came up, wasn't it?
Right, let's find something to sustain you.
Hey, level up. Nice. No, maybe this isn't the way we came. Hey, there's a barrel up there. Oh. Oh god, what are you?
They brought more things.
Heads up!
Ow.
That's not.
Ow. I forgot how. What's the button? Oh, it's F. Ow, no dodge, damn it. Ah, it's son of a bitch to the wall. Oh, I can't block with her. Come here, bitch. Whew. That was really bad combat. Quest started. Can I? No, I don't have a rifle. That looks like something. A pulley system I can shoot, I guess. But yeah, I guess at some point I'll get a rifle. At some point. Oh, nope, sorry. I was just double checking to see if there was a... there's something down there. That looks...
There's someone inside. Someone tainted.
What is... tainted mean in this case? Wait, what's over here? I don't think I have a map I can open. Okay.
Quick mist. Spun by a ghost after a violent death.
Banisher rule number 8. Don't get lost in quick mist, lest the spectres get you.
Wise. But
All
I
right, we're
see
just
no
gonna go
other
back and
way.
see what's in that house.
Who else
Okay.
made this? And
Because
we
this
need to
looks like
find
more
out
exploring we
whose.
could do. Stains, but not the usual kind? What do you mean usual kind? You talking about the red stains? Don't worry about those. More traps. Oh, that's a witch lantern. That's the same lantern that was outside the cave. Cutscene. Uh-oh. Bugs. I'm sure this will be fine.
You're back.
Uh-oh, he's crazy.
Beg pardon. Thought you was someone else.
What does she mean by the corruptions, or?
You hungry, friend? The stew is thin enough, but I'd be glad to share.
Thin enough?
Kind of you to offer, lad. But no, thank you.
There's literally bugs crawling on the table. Ugh! I don't like that.
Been a
Kicked by a
while
glorified
since
vine
I've
with
seen
berries?
another
What?
human's face.
How did you manage that?
You come from camp? You a hunter? Of sorts.
He seems like he's struggling with words.
I'm a banisher. Like in the stories. Jacob Lind. I'm a trapper. That's a real job.
What does that mean? Alright, we'll go with that.
Exhausted. Unsurprising given how tainted are these woods.
It's just British food? Well, no, we're in New England. Well, it could be British.
Sleeping.
Could be British. Probably British food. We're in New
See
England.
things. Bright eyes in the leaves. What does tainted mean? Marked by ghosts. Haunted. Tell me of your nightmares.
Oh, goodness.
One nightmare. Always the same one. Ben has it too.
Okay.
Would you care to share them? No.
Domination, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing?
Nightmare. Nothing more.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Had you nowhere safer? The woods are kind to them as knows them. We hunt here. When we get pelts and meat, we trade in New Eden.
Okay.
But game's been scarce. We've naught to trade, so we wait. When even the wolves are starving, you know it's going to be a bad winter.
I think you could try and hunker down. How long have you been here?
How long have you been out here alone? I don't know. I lose track.
I was gonna say, he said winter, which
I'm not alone.
is not winter outside.
God is with me in the scriptures. Would you like me to read to you? Another time, perhaps.
Okay, who's Ben?
Who's Ben? Another trapper. Hi, the best of them. Taught me all I know. He's out now, but he'll be back. Where has he gone?
Wait, what?
The bridge is down. As down can be. Can't cross. Bad things lurk in the shadows. They scent flesh. Game's low.
Okay.
Game's low and Ben's gone. He'll find game, he will. I know it.
But how long has he been gone?
Where did you meet Ben? We
They're
found
being
each
haunted by
other.
Ben, maybe.
Brothers in spirit, he said. He's been good to me. Too good. Why? He's important to you. Aye. And me to him. What lurks in the shadows?
Did you kiss?
Is that what keeps you here?
Well, it's not winter, it's fainter.
The
What?
fog.
Those are
Can't
two
look
very
and
different
can't
things.
see.
Where
Ben
did you come up with
shoots better than me.
sphincter?
Knows the woods better too. I'd only slow him. Only slow him.
He's
Oh.
lost his nerve. Or a ghost has taken it from him.
Okay, I guess it's all the conversations we can have with him.
You need it. If you see Ben,
Caused
tell
by
him
or
I'm
the
thinking
or
of him.
the death of. I can see that. Yeah, that would make sense.
Poor lad. Even when he's lying down. Can't miss him.
This explains the quick mist.
Okay, haunting cases. You've started your first haunting case and must investigate the ghost that haunts Jacob Lind. Use the notification shortcuts or open your haunting cases menu to follow it. Yeah, let's go do it.
Do you sleep here, Jacob?
Oh, there's literally bugs in the pelt.
I don't sleep.
There are maggots in the bed.
Your meat's turning, friend.
Food is scarce. We make do.
Whatever
It's more than
haunts the
turned at
boy
that point.
spawns maggots. We should talk to this Ben fellow.
Are these Ben's things?
Most of them. Not the rope. You can have it if you want.
Kind of you. Thank you.
Maybe he's... Oh, did I actually take it? Did I actually take the rope? Oh, okay. That's probably how we're going to get down the other side of the hill. A gun?
Ben went out without a gun.
We're trappers, not hunters. We had the gun for safety, but it got damp. Doesn't work.
Ah, yes. The gunpowder got damp in the barrel. Imbecilist Rex, thank you for doing your season pass for... That says 6 months on the thing, but that says 5 months. Hi, Hectic. All right, can we swamp? What is this? Reads? Okay, this is his Bible. God bless Noah and his sons. Okay, this is the... Okay. Missing a key. Can I talk to him about something?
Oh, there to you, Jacob.
Mr. McCraith, sir?
Oh, nope, got nothing. Okay, so we probably need to go look outside.
Farewell, Mr. McCraith, sir. Farewell.
Sadly, we still haven't come across our next campfire. Okay, yeah, it marks that we do have to go outside. Excuse me. Okay, the
He's
direction
so
we went before.
confused. I doubt he knows what year it is. What happened to him?
Maybe he was always alone. Maybe Ben is made up.
Could have been abandoned. I don't know for sure. Okay, yeah, it wants us to investigate the quick mist, but let's go look this way real quick.
Either Ben was lost in the mist, or he's the source of it.
Oh! Could be. I feel like we're gonna find out something that, like, the other guy is, like, abandoned him, like he ran away or something. But we'll see. It's one hell of a leap. Alright, guess we're going down.
I do love a drop into the deep unknown. Can't see further than the end of my arm down there.
Don't worry, it'll affect your other senses too.
Ugh.
Oh, this quick mist is thicker than a Scots dragoon. It smells almost as bad.
Oh, I hate this. Can I swap? Hey!
It's better. And a little terrifying. Is it just me or?
I see fine.
Why is that locked? There's more of those gnarled branches. Spawns? What do you mean? What are you screaming at? Why are you screaming? I think that's all that's over here, but let's go up the hill first instead. That looks like the source, but I don't know why it literally just, it invisible walls us. So that we have to go this way, apparently.
Do you see that? It looks like the fog is coming from those odd-looking stalagmites. Hold on. I think I can rid us of the quick mist.
How?
Well, I'm partly made of the same stuff.
Weird. Schmack. Oh, hey, guys. Oh, you hit me first? What? Just give him the beat down. Just give him the beat down.
We got away with it. Let's find what caused it.
You mean, let's find out.
Oh, that's the rain effect. Okay. Here, we'll take that. We'll do a little bit of exploration, but I'm pretty sure the important place that we saw is probably going to be that cave. Oh, there's the climb up. All right, ad break's going to start in just a second. We're going to have a commercial break. I'm going to go stand up and stretch and check on Coco. And I will give you all the music and words for just a little bit. I will see y'all in a couple of minutes. Don't burn anything down. Don't set anything ablaze. Now's also a good time to refill your water if you need it. There's so many places. Yeah, this game is far more open world than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like much more linear for some reason. Anyway. Okie dokie. What'd I miss? What'd I miss? Who died? Here, let's go lower. There we go. Bring the music down. All right, we'll finish this round and then we'll be right back into the game. Chasing down somebody's, I was gonna say imaginary friend, but he is very seemingly not imaginary. Oh shit! Oneway.exe is releasing on the 7th? Let's go! Let's go! All right. Put that away. No more music. Back to banishing. I mean, the Exorcist game that refuses to use the word exorcist. Okay, so we'll read this way. Let's go check this way. I can't go this way. Come on. All right, let's see if it'll let us go into the cave. I have woman? What do you mean you have woman? Women? Women aren't real.
Spectral nearby.
Especially not on the internet. Everybody knows that. Break all the boxes. Break all the boxes. Well, this is the behind the waterfall, isn't it? Uh-huh. So, like, the words really went, send nudes. She's not napping in the bedroom. Oh. Oh. I should guess I'll just exclamation mark vanish. I don't think that works because that was a stream elements command. Suspect the fog's origin. Oh no, Kono. Oh no. All right, so we need to go this way? Oh, okay. Go down. Guy in real life? Oh, good lord. Oh, it doesn't look like I can invest. Oh, there. Okay.
Traces of a struggle.
An echo hangs on it.
Oh, hello. An echo. So we would need to do... What do you do? Fading persistent memory left by lingering ghost. Yeah, that's the hearkening is the one that we want. The emotes we have on par.
Toki mi indrasta. Skal
Is it the end of the chat? Spooky time. Oh. Benedict Stoughton. Wait, where? Hello?
I can't.
Oh, hi.
I can't do it no more.
Oh, that's Jacob. Oh, they fought here.
We don't give up. I've had enough. There's no way up. There's no way down. For days we've eaten
I mean,
nothing but
those are rock faces with a lot of steps. You could definitely get up there with enough effort.
We don't give up. Leave me be. God be damned.
Is he gonna push him down the waterfall?
What are you doing? Don't hurt me. Oh, I hate you.
Vanish the 7 TV emote. Oh, the emote. Okay, got you. I was thinking the old command for stream elements that would delete your, it would basically just delete your message, just disappear.
Died in the fall.
And now his maggoty ghost is back to haunt the friend who pushed him.
Is Jacob delusional?
Is Jacob delusional? Did he really forget what he did?
Maybe his guilt got the better of his reason. We need to find the body, if the wolves haven't gotten there first.
Okay. You can't drink water. Why is he in a bar? She.
Yes.
She is in a bar.
Something's here.
Aha. Is that a corpse? Well, that's the same hunter corpse we saw earlier. Which makes it a little weirder. Oh.
Shot on a short stick.
Oh, what the fuck happened to his arm?
Bloody hell. Lad's been torn to pieces. No.
Between a ghost in this game? Yes,
been
we get to
carved
swap
with a
between
knife.
us and our wife.
For his
Our
meat.
wife died. She died in the prequel.
Still.
Alright. Oh! You know, I was gonna say that locked chest that we found in their like hut thing. I was gonna say we're gonna like open that. We're gonna find out his heart's in there. You know, we also haven't found much about him.
No tie. At Jacob's hovel, perhaps?
Jacob was eating meat.
Jacob was eating Ben.
Poor, desperate, starving boys.
Sometimes you must do what it takes to survive.
Yeah. Listen, the cannibalism in and of itself does not feel like a bad thing if it's for survival and if the person already died. But if you're killing people for the sole sake of eating them, that's fucked up. They couldn't escape without the yellow paint. They needed the yellow paint. All right, so I guess we're going all the way back to the cabin, maybe? Maybe? Yeah, we're going back to the cabin. Oh, Jesus! Okay, I wasn't ready for... All right, Chucklefucks, are you good? Are we done? Going up. You know what? I feel like I need to go back and read the Bible verse real quick. Let me see. Can we check the Bible verse real quick? No, what was the button? That's photo mode. I did not want to enter photo mode. C? No. P is photo mode. Wait. K is also regular menu? What? How did I open tab? Oh, of course it's tab. Okay. I don't think it'll show me them chronicles. No. And I don't think I can activate any of these. Can I? Damage next heavy attack. Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I have to go back and interact with the Bible. I'm kind of curious to see if that's the story of Noah eating one of his sons. Gotta go this way. I also don't like the size of this corpse for some reason, even though I'm... Hi, guys.
Ready and waiting.
Jesus.
Watch out. Spectre possession.
God damn it. God damn it.
Away with you.
Also, I keep wanting to hit shift to dodge.
Standing by.
But that doesn't seem useful. Also, I didn't notice this cave earlier. So we'll go in there in just a second. Let me pick up this stuff. Doritos burp. Is very modern God of War coded. I can see it. I can see it a little bit. Leather, that seems to be the only thing that's in here. Okay, just a little extra item. What's wrong with eating linen? I thought it was not only socially acceptable but encouraged. I'm heckin' confused. I think we're mixing up the usage of the word eat here.
Let's look for our tie while Jacob's outside.
I didn't even realize he was right there for a second. Can't open that yet. Ah, what he was eating in the bowl. Spoon used by Jacob. Ties doused with the essence of its ghost. Once the closure has been severed, the ghost bond to the world. This essence will be automatically consumed by Antia to make her stronger. Cool.
I think I found our tie. How did I not
Oh,
know so
tie.
far?
There were so many spectral stains. It's a wonder we found it at all.
I wanted to double check the Bible again to see what story it was trying to tell, to see if it was hinting that this was cannibalism. Okay, make the ghost manifest. Works for me. Plush, thank you for renewing your season. I really need to start making sound alerts. I thought I liked it when it was like quieter, stealthier, wasn't so interrupting like the songs. But I need to come up with what audios I want to make. I think I'll go back to the Qualos being like a cash register cha-ching. Like you bought a ticket at the carnival. 31 months. Jesus.
You're not Jacob.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing?
Who's you?
Who's you?
My name is Red McCraith.
A Scot. You?
Antea Duarte. We're banishers. We can.
Are you pointing and laughing because I've decided to go back to sound alerts?
I'm beyond though.
Is that the reason? Is that why you're making fun of me?
Where's Jacob?
It's okay. It's deserved. You tried leaving this place.
You tried many times to leave this place.
I tried and failed. Week on week, month on month, maybe. We went in.
Really? I would have just started trying to climb the cliff face. Not gonna lie.
Treacherous, mean, round and
You goofball, Sunstar.
round and round and back again.
Jacob said you both had nightmares. The same nightmare.
Aye. And yet we got no sleep. Couldn't tell truth from fantasy. The shadows seemed to flicker at the corners of our eyes.
That's even weirder. How long were you in the woods?
How long have you and Jacob been out here in the woods?
Some winters now, but this one, it never ends. No way out, no way in.
Are they cursed? Just to like always see winter?
No, when things changed, we got stuck. These godforsaken woods.
Okay.
We know what befell you, Benedict. What keeps you here?
He does. He waits and waits and waits on me. He'll not face what he has done, and I cannot go.
He doesn't think that he died whenever he pushed him over the waterfall.
How could I?
Gay. He's lost. I don't think he's a good liar. I think he's delusional.
In mind and reason.
Breaking into Ordain's tower? That's climbing. That's brick climbing.
Place for weeks on end, deprived of a living, deprived of a life. Though I denied it, I saw it coming. I became wary. Some part of me knew what he was thinking. 'Cause
Starving?
I was thinking it too.
What do you want from Jacob?
What do you want from Jacob? Do you seek revenge?
I seek
Ooh, market
vengeance. He is I, and I am him.
It's good shit. I wear the hoodie almost every day, even though it's summer, because I like sitting here under a nice, cool fan. What does he mean?
What does he need that he may let go?
He needs to face the truth, to accept what he has done to both of us. At night, he'd read scripture. God would mind us if we were good and honest. Jacob taught me that.
That is the second time the chat has loaded for me, and I get the welcome to chat room.
We kept to ourselves, minded our business and no one else's. So tell me, Banisher.
Okay.
What did we do to deserve this?
Tell me more, tell me more. This was beyond you.
This was not God's doing. Another powerful entity is at work here.
New Eden is cursed.
Would you call it an
God
entity and this is part of the nightmare, or would you say that this is...
doomed.
Oh, what is it? The, like,
Benedict.
a phenomena of the worlds?
Perhaps we shall, Banisher. Perhaps we shall.
So we can also find more side hauntings, I'm sure, in the future. All right. Oh.
Jacob must confess.
I fear the truth will break him.
Hold on, I'm gonna see. Did we get... Okay, we got everything. Okay. Oh, Jacob! It's time to have a psychiatric breakdown! Or we're probably gonna have to fight you or something.
Jacob. Mr. McCraith, sir?
Something happened to
I'm
Benedict.
sorry, Jacob, we must talk. Something has happened to Benedict.
Okay.
Where is he? What?
Chat, are you okay? I gotta make sure. I need sound
on,
off. I need salutes, screams,
Something's happened to Ben.
anything of the
Say
sort.
so. Where is he?
Cozy works too. You need to remember.
Benedict is in pain. For his sake, you need to remember what happened. You need to remember what you did.
But No. I would never. I couldn't hurt him. I love him.
Jacob.
Yeah, but then
look
you
at
also
me.
had the wherewithal to
It's
go back
safe
and
to
cut off
remember.
meat pieces.
Now tell me, what happened on that cliff top?
I was tired. So tired.
Gay, it's your pride! They're gay!
Digging holes in me. Burning in my throat. I could think
I mean,
of
it really doesn't
nothing
take that long
else.
for the human being mind to go from,
Don't give up.
I'm a bit hungry, to, I'm so starving, the only thing I can think of is food. And then eventually that fades away. Usually around the 2-month mark. Where then it's just husk. Husk. So you made it stop.
So you made it stop. Do you remember now?
I failed him. I failed Benedict. I was so angry. So angry. He kept pushing me.
Yeah, but when the goal is to leave out of being stranded somewhere, honestly, you could probably push yourself pretty fucking hard.
When I saw him lying there, lifeless.
Is this what DEI has done?
It was him or me. Him or me.
We need more gay cannibals.
My sins. I deserve
We
no
need more
better.
gay cannibals. More women dictators. Oh, good fucking lord.
I failed my
I
friend.
don't feel so good this go round. Shut up, Hector, and eat your meat.
I'm a monster. I deserve no mercy.
No. You're just a sinner, begging for help.
Listen, Hector, I could always, if we decide to do another campaign, bring my cannibal Nagaraja.
We both faced a choice. Simple. and
It'd be
awful.
fun.
To kill or to
She's
die.
a delight. And by a delight, I mean a monster.
You struck first, and here we are.
Wow, the details on the head blow.
Do you forgive me?
Cannibal Nagaraj is redundant? True, but she was the cannibal before she was a vampire. That's the backstory I'm
Our
going with.
fates are in the hands of others now.
Ghost gay.
Yes. Banisher, do your job.
If you're to come back, if we're to use the ritual we spoke of,
Ascending?
this is when it starts.
Red, if we take one step along that path,
Jacob is ready to die.
the others won't be. will tell lies, will harvest the essence of the living.
Ah.
I'll shoulder the blame. As the man
Fuck you,
says,
teasing game. No, listen, it's fine. You can listen. We could enjoy the toxic yaoi cannibals. Okay, it's fine. Now, Kith.
Or do we part forever?
We must decide now.
But no, yeah, that's... Oh. Closure. You've reached the closure of a haunting case. As a banisher, you must decide. Blame the haunted inhabitant, ascend to the ghost, or banish the ghost. What? Okay, this is the thing from the book that we read, the blaming part. You know, I kind of want to blame Jacob on this one, because it was his doing. Evolve as a couple. Reminder, if Red wishes to bring Atea back to life, he must blame the largest number of living settlers. Okay, we're definitely blaming Jacob. Okay. But I think in this one, we're just going to go with blaming Jacob because it is definitely his fault if he is ready to go.
You believe you merit no mercy, but your suffering must have an ending. You murdered your friend.
The thing is, I don't know if we're going to go for the ending where we can resurrect her.
You fed on
because I think I'm just going to make the decision based on how I feel of like each case.
Bound his spirit to this realm. You can never right this wrong. But the truth and your death will ease his suffering. There can be no half measures here.
And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Ripped from us, ripped from our grabs.
My friend.
Yeah, if you let me know, Hectic, if you ever want to do a vampire campaign, I will break out the Nagaraja. She runs a slaughterhouse. Ooh. Oh yeah, this is definitely new. Here, have snack, wife. I heard vampire. Yeah, we mentioned vampire.
I took the life of a man I loved and ate his flesh. This I deserve.
Gay! Do we have a key now? Can I go open? Oh, Jesus.
You may feed on his essence. I think I need a moment.
You can rest inside.
Okay, does this get to count as a campfire now? Okay, no, yeah, we do have a campfire here. Now I get to open dish. Oh, come on! The whole time it was only 17 pieces of the currency? Okay, hold on. I'm upset. I'm upset. All right. Wait, is that it? Do I not get to rest? There we go. Leap! Ooh! Oh, good lord. Okay, what do we got? Cross the zero portals that act like shortcuts to the invisible into the incarnate. Can dash towards enemies dealing a small amount of damage. What the fuck is that thing? Is that a scarecrow? Team assist. Fourth heavy attack triggers a punch. Damage dealt by red is increased 30% against full health enemies. Ooh. Okay, can't do that. Charged heavy attack. Parry restores 15 spirit points. I'm terrible at parrying in this game, so... You know what? Do we just want to get the last thing? Ooh. Front dodge to trigger a melee attack that ignores resistance. Oh. I want the resilience. I want the resilience. All right. And then let's do... Evolution is what we were just looking at. So let's do inventory. Because now we can upgrade some things. Hell yeah. Nest silts. That's new. Upgrade you. Okay, those are the only things we can upgrade. What does this need? Scourge accretion. Fearful dark aura. I keep wanting to hit exit to close things. Damn it. I think we have to rest because that's what it said it wanted us to do for this mission. Locked out upgrade paths? No, it's because there's two different currencies when it comes to like leveling up certain skills. So like all of Antia's skills cost one currency and then all of Red's skills cost another. Involve a road trip. We'll also discuss some lore stuff involving the family reunion and the state of any particular world of darkness. Makes sense. Yeah. And so I figured she'd probably be more like independent and dragged into some shit in the city.
Of those besieged eating their own. Some were true.
Why are we pouring these currencies? Because you only get one skill point per level up.
Just like you.
Just like me.
I never thought I'd blame anyone. I've not killed since I quit the army. I swore I'd never kill again.
It's not too late to change our minds.
Maybe?
I took a life. It's no small matter, even if the man deserved it. Maybe we should reconsider.
It's very interesting, though, that they still apparently were taught this blame ritual.
Maybe for the rest of eternity. Never again shall we stand side by side. This thing we have, shall cease to be.
Yeah, because I feel like if we resurrect her, they will choose her fate. Choices you make could bring closure, impacts, or chance to fulfill the promise made to one another. You can remain free to make any choice you want in bringing closure, no matter the oath you've sworn, as long as you're ready to face the consequences. I don't wanna. Help Atia come back to life once they retrieve her body from Nuine's meeting house. To keep this oath, Red will have to sacrifice as many settlers as possible with a blame ritual. I didn't know this was gonna be a fucking thing. Do we just... Oh my god. Ascend? I think we're just gonna go with Ascend. Because I feel like if we do the resurrection, she's actually gonna resent us. I feel like at the end of this, we're gonna resurrect her and she's gonna hate us. Also, hi, Nurple. Can I right click to get out? I can't get out of it. I have to pick. Oh, I shouldn't have clicked the reconsider option. Yeah, I think it does. I think you're right, Fungus. We'll select Ascend.
Right. That's that settled.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I don't know.
For soon, you'll release me. I'll have my assent.
I hardly want to let you go.
I know, but you must.
We only get to do one blaming. What if we come across somebody who's a disgusting, heinous monster?
I am a shadow, caged and fading.
You're still here. Still you. We could...
Jacob Lynn's essence called.
He's like, I don't like the idea of now being forced to pick
desired it. There lies
the other options.
For both of us.
Oh yeah, she'll like come back wrong, or she'll come back with like all of the memories and like resent us for what we did.
But I must.
I don't know. I'd be curious. We'll probably finish this game and then we'll go see what some of the other endings are, because I'm curious.
So be it. We'll reclaim your body.
This is one of those games that I'm curious about what the other endings are going to be.
I swear it.
Okay. Go on. Is there anything else? All right. So now we could... Ooh. Take your oath. Achievement unlocked. Return to the broken bridge. Okay. Oh, hello. What the fuck?
I took the life of a man I loved and ate his flesh. This I deserve.
That was like one night.
Jacob's body has disappeared.
Eaten by animals or by Ben Stoughton's maggots.
Should have buried him. Let's get out of this shite hole.
That was definitely wolves. Hate to tell ya. You sure up here was the way back?
Let's go back to the bridge. I feel stronger. Let's see if I was right about those spectral stains.
Okay. Nicotine cessation products? What? Again, we can't do anything with that. We don't have anything to hit it with. Which is annoying. No matter what, but now she wants us to ascend her, like, immediately. What changed? I don't know if this game is, like, playing yes man with your decisions. Like, if whatever decision you pick, they'll always agree with you. They'll always be like, yes, that's the right decision.
I think I can jump the gap. Your bane rings will help. Can you find the place where the stains align?
Huh? Are we going down here now? Or magic maggots? Even then, maggots would take days to pick a body that clean. Yeah, the thing is, that was I feel like this game plays yes man with all of your decisions. Oh, the heck. Oh, interesting. Zoom.
Come with me.
Just gonna slingshot us up to the bridge. Okay. Teleporting.
Are you all right?
Never better.
All right, can you just like do that now? Okay. There's also another drop down here, but that's fine. All right. Expect the Jim Carrey cameo? I mean, I don't know, something like that. I don't want to go that way just yet. Let's go check this way.
That jump was quite something.
Ghosts are quite something. But I feel clumsy. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, good lord. Why is this going so far?
You've mastered everything else.
Wait, does that say 3,000 meters?
No way through here neither, far as I can see.
You know what? We're just gonna look. Wait. Why did this just change? Alright, I'm gonna guess we're gonna find, like, this is blocked. Or yeah, that's what I thought.
Another road to nowhere. Can we jump this?
Seriously?
Spectral stains are out of reach.
Seriously?
I've nothing to work with here.
So we find another way.
Hi, buddy.
Stupid country.
When we get back to New Eden Town, you can make a complaint.
That's a corpse. That's a bunch of wraiths. Cool. I guess. Keeps bugging out and getting lag. My chat keeps reloading too. I think Twitch is doing something. Because it's not stream side. I have 0 dropped frames. But... alright. Guess we're going exploring. I knew it. Come here, fuckers. Oh, it wants me... wait, to engage in combat? Ah. I don't trust this thing.
Divert your focus. The veil shields this.
Okay. Okay. What else do we have around here? Not an actual cave, just a little inlet. All right. I don't like what this looks like. No. No. I tried to dodge into him. That was my own fault. Spectral activities. You found a cluster of spectral activity. As a banisher, it's your job to eliminate the threat. Health points and decoction charges will be fully restored at the start and end of the encounter. Ooh, permanent attribute points. So this is like a challenge thing.
Spectral nest. I better command them to show themselves.
Oh boy, of course it's a ritual. Is it this one? Force a scourge to appear? Harvester, rage, sorrow to reveal themselves, or I think it's this one. I'm gonna assume it's this one because we haven't done this ritual yet at all.
Commands you, unveil.
Shite.
I did the wrong one. Oh yeah, ritual failed. Which I'm just guessing is make manifest then. That's fine. We got plenty of resources.
Unveil yourself.
Enjoy your lurk.
Ready and waiting. This isn't over yet.
There's more of.
Oh, I didn't need to use that yet. That was my own bad. Oh, hi.
Hogging all the fun. They never learn, do they? Did we miss a few?
God, they just keep coming.
Watch out. Spectre possession.
No.
Away with you.
Ow. Alpha. Okay, so that's called a tormented. Gotcha. Jesus, dude.
Spectre, going for a meat suit.
Why are you so beefy? Oh, it's because of the tormented, isn't it? He has like a shield. Oh, I was right. Okay, so the tormented does buff these guys.
It's icy and all, but
Okay.
it's the way up.
All attributes +1. Oh, and we got nest cells. Nice. Okay, that was one of the up. Oh, Jesus. Gimme, gimme, gimme. All right. Again, I feel like I'm missing something.
I feel something close.
Yeah, it's the fucking corpse up there. What is it? Okay. There's this camp. Take that, but mushroom. Doesn't seem like there's anything else.
That's high.
Trust me.
Ah, oh boy.
Yes.
Oh, what is that?
Remind me to close my eyes next time.
Oh, a letter. Uh-oh. Abandoned journal. The year is 1695. Isn't it 1795 right now? Of this, at least I'm sure. Following the newsmiths was a mistake. After abandoning our homes and trudging the dark woods through rain and storm, our group arrived in what was once a hunter's camp. The bridge to Boston is down, and we can go no further. No, wait, no, this is the current year. This is the current year. It's not 17, it's 16. Our flight to freedom was a fool's errand. The memory of our home in New Edentown seems distant now. We had friends and neighbors. The schoolhouse rang with laughter. The meeting house had a minister who cared for us deeply. When we left with Thickskin's band... Oh, wait. Wait, this had to happen super recently then, didn't it? The New Edentown we'd built was no more. I miss it deeply. Beth misses it too, though she hides it. We're going back, packing our things once more and going home. To hell with whatever prowls the woods. God be with us. I wonder what that is. Doesn't look like we can actually get over to it. Okay. Hello? I didn't like that sound with the little twang. Oh, of course. Oh boy, a snare. It's fine. At least her ankle's not broken. Just hang out here for a minute and then we'll cut the rope in a second.
All right. I'll be better right side up. What happened?
Rope trap. Jacob Lind mentioned a hunter's camp.
I mean, there's literally a cabin right next to us. But if it's on the other side of that log, that means they were definitely trapping for someone to jump over that log.
Something alive.
Yes.
Good or bad? Tainted? Corrupted? What's the deal? Oh, hi.
Brilliant.
Is it Thickskin? Nope. I dig the outfit, though.
Who are you and where did you spring from?
New Edentown.
I've come from New Edentown.
That's a very long way from here, sir. Who are you?
My name's Red McCraith.
What does selectman mean?
I'm a banisher.
I'm not an exorcist.
Didn't you and the other one?
A Johnny and V situation where no one can... That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is.
And the tide took me. I survived. Up to now, anyway.
I've never seen a banisher before. I expected more.
Define more.
Continue this conversation with my feet on the ground. Easy now.
Stop your jiggling. Hold still, I said.
You try holding still when some lassie's shooting at you.
In that case, banisher, you may escape the trap yourself.
That was... Okay, what?
No, come on.
Our camp lies downhill. I'll wait for you there.
Come back here.
I don't understand the insult in this one. Is she gonna be upset because she called her a lassie?
You can help me, can you?
Feel like it was infantilizing or something?
Entertaining.
It's good to see you smile.
Wait. Something's there.
Something alive.
Again?
No.
Uh-oh. 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 Is this where we find out where the scourge things come from? Don't be red and black. Don't be red and black. Don't be red and black. That's a corpse. Oh.
A bone walker.
Shite.
Okay, those are new. Should have known. That's a pretty pristine looking axe, to be honest.
You can do it.
How?
Please.
What's she doing? Just pulling him down? All right, that'll do. Please just be one. Please tell me I just have to fight the one. It's probably not just gonna be the one. Come on, bud. Whoa. Blocking stance. When enemies are blocking, you can break their defense with charged attacks, manifestations, or perfect switches.
Putting up a fight then.
Oh. Ow?
Try this on.
Oh, of course.
I'm right here, you know.
A wee Highland kiss for you.
Okay, yeah, so leap works on him. Okay. We good? Oh, give me that spectral dust. Oh, that was the spectral dust. Okay. I would like to open the door. Who the hell left a fucking... Oh, hello. That's a new kind of chest. Wait, there's a letter. Hello. Old Hunter's note. To them devils is... Wait. To them devils as dirty as the place with their rotten, half-eaten, bloody leavings and their sharp-edged, broken, bloody arrowheads and whatnot. For shame. Is he talking about Native Americans?
This place is empty so long it's rotting.
Oh. A wedding ring of some kind. Oh no, that's his wristband. Never mind, that's an item we can equip. Punch damage. Awesome. I can't upgrade it here though, can I? Yeah, gotta be at a shelter.
Sound of life ahead.
Why do I feel like we're gonna end up in another combat before we get there, even though I'm guessing the hunters don't end up the ones that like came to see us. Things to be, things to do. Uh-oh. Oh, come on. Woo! Ow. Ow. Double ow.
Call on me.
And there's another one. Okay. Now give me the good stuff. Hi, Black Dragon. How are you doing? What trouble are you getting into today?
This must be the camp the rope lady talked about.
Camera?
Doesn't look like much from here.
Who was she anyway?
I mean,
some species of huntress. She took
Species?
no liking to you.
Hard times like these, fewer folk will help a stranger.
Okay, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look like the rocks are rendering properly. Okay, then. Why do we get to deal with the bone walkers, and why are there people's corpses just lying around?
You did good.
Strange to see the dead from this side. They're both oddly familiar and 1,000 times more ghastly.
Crow. Okay. Hi, Carusavale. How are you doing? Chat, I need you to convince me. Do I go buy fish today? Do I go buy fish so that I can cook later tonight? Or
Good sign.
do I go get pizza?
So rest and restock, then onwards to New Eden Town.
Can I talk to you, sir? Can I talk to you, sir?
Good day to you. I'm Red McCraith.
The Banisher. How did you get here?
Okay, so he does know of me.
I must admit.
Shoots flanker? What do you mean?
Can handle a weapon,
Exclamation mark, fish. Definitely get the fish. Okay.
Stuck here in camp, waiting to be fed. Daniel Keane, by the by.
Pleased to
That's,
meet
I'm
you then.
considering making, instead of getting the usual like stuffed salmon that I really like at the grocery store, I may just get salmon and get the ingredients to make my own stuffing. Because I think it'll actually be cheaper than buying their pre-made stuffed salmon fillets. The New Worlds.
I was wondering, What brought you
I
to
would
the
choose
New
pizza, so she'd probably get fish. Okay, I'll go to the grocery store
World?
after stream.
Like so many, we came looking for a better life.
I also went to the farmer's market yesterday after stream and got a little jar of jelly.
So,
And the lady there was like, do you like salmon? I'll go, yeah. She's like, well, if you mix this with like soy sauce and some like ginger and then put it on top of a salmon and then bake it, it makes an awesome glaze. I got like it was a jam that she called every berry jam.
Goodbye for now, Daniel.
Wait, what is that little thing scurrying around in the background?
In the meanwhile.
Is that a baby pig? Wait, turn around. Something was like scurrying. Oh, it's a rat. It's a rat. Hello, I'd like to break into your home. Okay, so... Wait, is there a merchant? There's a merchant here. Okay.
Come up. I wish a word with you.
I'll come and calm your tits.
So, you found us safely, Red McWraith.
Aye. Well, thanks to you.
I had to know you could look out for yourself.
This is going to be an exceedingly sarcastic interaction.
Told to leave. I'm Kate Newsmith. Far as you're concerned, I'm in charge.
Oh, the Newsmith family, the ones that were on the note.
Newsmith. Anything to thick skin?
The jam could go on fish, but I'm craving just that. How would you do this to me? Hey, listen, that's what she told me. I wasn't even considering it for something like that, but now I'm curious.
Sorry for your loss, by the by.
Why might you tell me to leave?
He who don't pitch in, pitches out. We'll not go hungry to feed him that don't contribute.
Makes sense.
Better than killing you for food, I suppose.
Okay.
All right, I'll stay a while. I have certain skills, if they may be of use.
Our hearts are low. Nightmares plague our sleep. Do what needs doing.
I'm starting to think nightmares plague everybody in and around New Eden. How far does this nightmare's influence reach?
A widow, like so many.
Her name is, of course,
Lately
Prudence.
she's cooked shite. He who puts the food aright is a hero indeed.
You ever seen those moments in like literature or in media where somebody's like, I can be a cook, and then they're just the fucking shittiest cook? Every
How
time.
fares New Eden town? I'm heading back that way.
You gonna fix enough for all of us? I don't think I can afford that. I don't think I can afford that much fish.
New Eden town now is naught but sorrow, pestilence, and death. Some of our band were homesick. We heard them screaming in the woods. They didn't come
Well,
back.
you're basically making a berry glaze out of the jam. Especially since you're using like soy sauce and stuff.
It'll kill them if they dare to leave camp.
Oh.
There was a second group. They never arrived. Something
Are her
got them.
her eyes are huge, right? I'm not the only one that sees that.
All that's left.
Guilt.
Are her corneas gigantic?
She puts a brave face on it, but the truth is in her eyes.
I'll make the rounds. I'll pay my respects to Widow Hake and see what's the bother.
If you can't find Prudence, ask Jane. They're close. Also, please check on our blacksmith. His already meagre skills have lately declined.
Talk to Jane. Talk to Prudence.
We'll share the food. Listen, if I could feed everyone, I would love to. It would be fun, but that's a very expensive idea.
A tree fell on it. But you
Maybe
may have
someday
what's
when we
left.
go to a convention, I'll be able to take like the mods or something, and we'll all go out to dinner. About the nightmare.
Can I ask you, what do you know about the nightmare?
I have bad dreams, aye. The worst kind. We all do.
A nightmare is what we banishers call the creature in the meeting house.
Oh, wait. Wait, they didn't see the creature in the meeting house. That was only us.
Aren't they all? Town was doomed. My sister knew it. After your mishap, it was time for us to go.
Wait, so how long were we out? Oh, we were out weeks. That's right. Yeah, we were out for weeks.
Might be the hunger. Might be the fear. But we all seem to dream
My
the
ass
same
sitting in the
dream.
corner of my milkshake.
A beast. A wolf, but not a wolf.
Yeah, I'm gonna take ordained fishing
Larger,
someday.
Stranger.
I need to get better at tying knots. I have been out of practice tying fishing knots for like 6+ years.
Just a dream.
Is it?
Chatter's just gotta starve. Why do you hate us? I mean, if y'all are at TwitchCon, we may do something.
Some blame the beast. We stay close to camp now.
I don't know. I don't know just yet. Like right now, like fucking going to TwitchCon next year is still basically a pipe dream.
They've heard it howl. None have seen it.
I need to have enough time to like move, get settled, get everything like handled inside the house, and then save enough money for TwitchCon.
Hope that they found their way to Boston, as we must. If we're
I'm not bait, damn it. We'll put Ordain on a hook.
Dreams say they did not.
Well, fuck it. We'll take him salt. We'll talk him saltwater fishing.
We can live here.
Hey, Ordain, how do you feel about going fishing in the North Sea?
Keeping our cheer as best we can. Or we can die in the woods, prey to a drooling beast. We choose to live.
Except we're not going to be fishing for fish. We're fishing for archaeological evidence of Doggerland. What's the word around here?
I must ask you about the camp.
Ask?
Actually, nah, never mind. Let's not do that. We'll go with the Bonewalkers, and then we'll go do what she wanted us to.
Have you seen many?
Never been on a large boat? Who said anything about a large boat?
The hell's a bone walker?
Corpses possessed by malignant spirits. The dead walking. You'd know if you'd seen one.
Wouldn't I say anything about a large boat?
Sparrows.
We're gonna charter a little fishing boat. It'll be fine.
Standard question.
It'll be fine.
Bone walkers seem
Get to rowing, bud.
not them. Is it you? Is it me?
Nah, taking a rowboat in the North Sea is asking for death. All right.
I'll take my leave of you for now.
Rest. You'll need it for my sister's return.
Again, I can't get over how big her corneas are. All right, let's go to that in a second. I want to try to get to the shop to see what they have.
Let's find your cabin and see how much.
I think it's actually down there. Damn it. Shop, 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 shop. And also whatever that question mark is. Although that question mark... Ooh, what's in here? Hello? Yoink. Yoink. Why are we finding ones with ruins all of a sudden? Damn, witches stones. 158? What are those? There's another witch's fire. Okay, maybe this isn't a marker for witch's fire. Maybe this is a marker for a shelter. Oh, okay, this is where it was trying to send us.
And it smells better than Jacob Lind's lean-to.
The worst thing about
True.
Jacob Lind was not the smell.
What are you? Common Prayers. King James, official translation of the Christian Bible for the Church of England. This also serves as the official Bible for Puritans. Gross. Light it up, baby. I don't think we leveled up, but we'll see if we can upgrade some of our equipment and stuff right now.
Now we won't freeze. I won't freeze.
Key to Trapper's Reserves. Okay. Oh, we do have a point. Okay, let's do that. That's a heavy attack thing. We'll do this one. So I'm guessing at some point soon we're going to start getting these spectral ones, like this green icon that's up here. But for right now, we don't have it. All right. Upgrade you. Elite gem. Ooh. Didn't we... Wait, wasn't there something that wanted... Oh, we don't have any wool. Okay, maybe we could find that at the shopkeeper. Who knows? Who knows indeed? Oh, iPad time. Oh, damn it. Hold on, we've only got a minute left, so let's say fuck it. Should we pretend the iPad is down here? I'm sorry. I was reading things. I even knew it was coming. I did this to myself. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna spend some time. I'm gonna make a commercial thing. Pay the fuck attention, redeem, win. I'm gonna add audio back to the alerts and everything. And what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna take inspiration from a few other people. And I'm gonna get like a little TV set. I have an idea for this that comes down and I'll edit like a compilation of old commercials. Is what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'll probably get like old movie trailers and probably like some stuff from my childhood.
If the nightmare is at work here, they'll need us.
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, we got 2 different hauntings in here. Also, it looks like the merchant moved.
Kate said the blacksmith may need help.
Yeah, let's do that.
Tackety boots with hobnailed soles.
Hobnails?
I think I can uncover the traces. Let's finish here first.
Okay. A letter? My dear friend blacksmith, the rim of my cartwheel remains broken. As I stood it, you were to fix this. Is there a problem? To work, sir, and the sooner the better. Thank you. S. Paris.
What is it?
Salt water. It's pulsing. There's something here.
Oh, salt water. I thought she said solid water. I was confused.
Mine, all mine.
Ghost?
Mine, all mine.
Mercer? No, this is Mercer.
Mine, all mine.
This sounds like Liam O'Brien.
That ghost sounds nasty.
That ghost sounds obsessed.
What kind of forge has no tools?
Hmm.
That drill bit is dull as a hammer.
How do you sharpen a drill bit like that? Hmm. There's definitely something in there, but it doesn't look like I can get inside from here.
What kind of forge has no tools?
Hmm. Oh, hello.
These nails look brittle.
Yeah,
Metalworking isn't easy, but this stuff is surprisingly shite.
Can't be easy to maintain a camp with a bad blacksmith.
Okay. Solvent water? So water? No, it said salt water. Hayden, our houses are falling down and we need those nails to build them. Deliver soonest, if you will. No shite like the last lot. You're supposed to be good at your work. Thick skin. Okay. Oh, there's somebody here. Oh. Who are you, ma'am? I like her hair.
I ought to startled. Oh well. Ain't you a sight?
Why are you...
Who are you, then?
You're not the blacksmith, are you?
Red McCraith, ma'am, the banisher. To whom do I owe the pleasure?
Hmm. No, not yours. Mine? What do you mean? Oh, God. Oh, the mine. The ghost saying mine.
Nellie. Nellie Heaton.
A friendly Londoner. I like her already.
Oh. Okay, let's see. Let's do some... Oh, wait. She has the shop. She's the shopkeeper.
Mrs. Heaton.
All right. Let's.
This is important. This is muy importante. Oh. 800? Jesus. Okay. Banisher tea. A new brooch. Manifestation damage. Wait, we don't have a brooch right now. Should we just... That's all our fucking money, dude. That's all our money. Fuck. Copper? Magnetite? A fungus. Wow, she really has a lot of stuff. Restores 5 points. Okay. Do we have anything worth selling? Ugh. Not really. At least I don't think so. I kind of want to get the brooch. The brooch! Resident Evil 1 yesterday, I fell asleep during your live. Thousands of apologies for that. No, we didn't. We didn't finish it. Damn it. That was me trying to back out. All right.
So,
let's get some answers to these things that we found.
Bad news travels faster than good. What would you like to know?
Let's do about Kate.
What can you tell me of Kate Newsmith?
Thank you for self-care, Pyro. How are you doing?
Like her. She's different from her sister. Sensible.
Also, hold on a second. Is that total subs
When
accurate?
she speaks, I listen.
No, it is not. Hold on a second. Do this. Open you. Refresh cache. Now it should be accurate. Yes, now it's accurate. Okay. Thick skin.
What think you of thick-skinned Newsmith?
She ain't perfect.
Man, being a banisher doesn't taste shit? Apparently
She's
not.
Independent, fair-minded, strong in body.
Sunstar, what was the thing I said I would do if
She
we hit
cares for us.
1,000 concurrent subs?
I know it in my heart, even if she doesn't show it. Why
What
else
was
would
the
she
thing I
shield
said I
us
would
from
do
the
if we'd hit
beast?
1,000 concurrent subs?
I
We're
was lying
exceedingly
about
far
the
away,
past.
but I saw somebody hit 1,000
doing our
yesterday, and I
best
was
to
like,
make
that's
things right.
crazy.
The beast is worrisome, 'tis true. But thick skin knows
Crystal
what's what.
thingy?
I'm sure we'll be fine.
No, I thought it was more ridiculous. No, it was eating surströmming. That's what it was. It was eat surströmming on stream, wasn't it? Was that it?
Here's the thing. In your forge, I found a puddle of salt water.
I think that's what it
Any
was.
idea how it got there?
Wait. You went into the forge without asking?
The door was open. Also, there was a puddle on the floor, which turned out to be salty.
They don't have any doors.
It's rude, but this time I'll let you off. The forge uses a lot of water.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was eat
That doesn't explain
surströmming.
the salt.
Ghost.
It had the mark of a ghost. What think you of that?
A ghost? My lord. Am I in danger?
I never heard of that. Was that not
Honestly,
it?
I don't know.
I asked you to write it down and like don't let me forget it. And you said you were gonna write it down. I can't believe you didn't write it down. How could you?
Tools. Any idea why?
No tools? That's strange.
Is it
Why
because
would
you
your
don't want me to
husband take
suffer
tools?
trying to eat surströmming?
Why would he take all the tools with him?
I don't know.
All right, now where's your
To the
husband?
point, madam. Kate Newsmith worries for you and for your husband too. He around?
This is gonna be one of those missions that's gonna be like, go talk to these people about why they're not doing well, and it's gonna be two of different
confess, I'm
haunting missions,
beginning to
isn't it?
What if the beast got him?
Did he not say where he was going?
You did say that. I just don't know where. It was like 2 days ago.
She presses him.
See, chat.
And he
I have
throws
both
away
the
the-
best and the worst mods. Gone looking for materials?
Could he have gone out in search of material?
Doubtful. He's exhausted. He doesn't sleep. He works day and night. It wasn't always so.
Okay.
Coming to New Eden saved us. It saved the marriage.
I should go look for your husband.
He's no woodsman, so he can't have gone far. Please, do find him. I didn't come this far only to lose him now.
Can I have a look around?
Okay.
Yes, if it helps.
Okay, so now maybe we can go inside. Thank you, Nelly.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Heaton.
Welcome. I've enjoyed our chat. It's nice to
See,
have someone
chat, I
new
say
to
this
talk
all the
with.
time. I don't need new mods. I have Carrie and Sunstar. They absolutely fucking nail it every day of the week. And then this shit happens. It's fine. I don't pay them to like take notes and shit for me. It's my own fault for not remembering what it was. Shit happens. All right, what do we got? We're rummaging through their letters now. Governor Haskell's letter to Fortune Hayton. Fortune? Is that the husband's name? 2nd March. Is this the year of our Lord 1694? From the pen of the most honorable Fairfax H. Haskell, governor of the colonies of New Eden and roundabouts, to Master Fortune Hayton, Hayton's Forge or Smithy, Bracemonks, London. Letter of appointments. My dear most fortunate Mr. Hayton, further to our most recent and urgent correspondence, I refer to your last letter dated 14th December, in which you confirm your desire to join the colony of New Eden, wherefore to practice the trade of blacksmithing. As you are known in London as in Boston as a blacksmith of some renown and indeed a Puritan of impeccable faith, I have the pleasure of confirming that a place awaits you here. We shall provide you with a small holding in which to establish your business, and while we shall endeavor to provide you with whatever materials you should require, pray bring whichever tools you may need, as they can be scarce here at times. Please reply immediately, at least within a month, and book passage at your earliest convenience. I have enclosed a stipend, which forthwith to pay the fare. With fields to plow and horses to shoe, we are in urgent need of your services. We shall expect you before winter. To all who should be concerned, herewith let it be known that Fortune Hayton has been contracted to the colony of New Eden as the new blacksmith. Yes, Blackfist. Yours most sincerely, Governor Fairfax H. Haskell. Okay. Book. Is this a bibble? Oh no, this is a journal. I found a friend, a dear friend, a good man who has sinned at times but wishes no harm on anyone. He speaks to me with respect, and I to him likewise. He listens to me with interest, and I to him the same. Above all, he's kind. This, I think, is the greatest thing a man can be. We know our men by their wealth or by their conquest, when really we should know them by their kindness. Aw. I shall cherish this page as it marks the moment I saw life in more favorable terms. I think this is the ghost. Oh. There we go. I have to stand on this side.
About the bed. Memories from the past.
Ritual time! Hearkening. Make it so. Good night, Ordained. Sleep well. And remember, someday I'm gonna take you fishing.
For now.
Did you just carve into their floor? Come on, dude. They're gonna be pissed. Is he possessed?
No.
Oh my god. Oh my god, he's gay and possessed.
No. Not yours.
Oh wait, there's multiple merchants. Interesting. Okay, bye buddy.
That's no ghost threatening Nellie. That's her husband.
It seemed like he was fighting the urge to hurt her. So, the blacksmith has gone missing with his tools.
Okay.
And a saltwater ghost haunts the forge. Let's go find it.
Ah, yes, the footsteps. Hold on. I want to go see what these other merchants are. So that's... Oh, Nelly right there. Okay. So there's someone over here. Hello? Up there, apparently. Hello? Hello, I wish to buy your wares.
I'd be glad to help, but after years of trade, though my mind is keen, my body betrays.
Excuse me, pardon me. Just
Yes,
yoink.
I've bought and sold it all.
Wait.
Furs and jewels, tobacco.
This is the guy that was on the docks.
Sugar and spice, the corn, and with
It's
it,
sincere.
I don't suppose you've any nails, but these ones are shite.
I do not, Daniel.
I see something flickering in there.
But I assure you that I have taken note of your demand. When New Eden opens to the world once more, then I shall move to meet your need. You shall have the finest Boston nails. The blacksmith may moan, or he may make better nails himself.
Wait, I thought he
This
wanted
is
to
the way
leave
of
New
the
Eden. Why is he talking about going back now?
Bright future awaits us, Daniel.
Daniel with
I look
two
forward
N's.
to it, Mr. Paris. But if I can't get good nails now, there ain't no future at all.
Wait, come here.
Red McCraith, sir. Your friendly visiting banisher.
We talked before.
I met your companion in New Eden.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Since then, sadly, things have not improved, right? In hard times and harder places, a man needs help. May I interest you in my broad
You think he's gonna have more
range of
goods
useful
than he had
and
before?
reasonably priced commodities.
Yes.
Show me your wares.
You'll find what you need, I'm sure.
The hate of... Ooh, what are you? Mysterious cache. Enigmatic riddle written by a stranger indicates the location of a treasure. Oh, it's 40 a piece? Oh, that's 11. I don't need that much. Let's get like 8. Yes. Because that was one of the upgrade materials we need. Ah, we're not gonna talk to him.
Bid you good day.
Alright, let's go find some other stuff. Let's go back and track those footprints. So next time we go to a rest area, we can do the upgrade stuff. Reveal! Show me your secrets. Hi, Zyver. How are you doing? Footprints.
Imagine all those years hunting ghosts, how much time we could have saved. Come on, let's go find our blacksmith.
Okay. Oh, the wisp goes this way, but... okay. Getting ready for a competition tomorrow. What kind of competition? That sounds like fun. Oh God, please don't be in a cave. Please don't be in a cave. Please don't be in a cave. Oh, good Lord. Hello. Okay.
What think you of the blacksmith and his wife?
Ghost haunts fortune.
A ghost haunts Fortune Heaton and his smithy too.
Aye, but whose?
Okay. Swimming. Ooh. What are you? What competition? What kind of competition? In the case, like, are you doing backstroke? You doing freestyle? Hold on. I'm gonna go look at this cabin. Well, lean to. Oh, hello. Oh, that was me trying to do the leap. Oh, it didn't stagger him? Come on.
Larson left.
Okay. That hurts. Jesus. Okay. All right, let's go back. Well, let's go focus on the bootsteps. I keep getting distracted because I want to loot stuff, but we're already doing really well on supplies, so I don't think I need to be super concerned about it. Oh, hi, guys. That was a really delayed dodge. Okay. Hello? Okay, I'm guessing this is a power that we don't have. Yeah, it looks like it's some kind of power we don't have. Breaststroke. Oh, shit. Well, at least it's regular wolves. I thought it was the corpse ones again. Where did y'all come from? There's somebody inside screaming.
Not today. Come out. It's safe.
Are they gone?
Oh, hey, buddy. Are you Fortune? Unlike I think nudes.
Oh, thank you.
200 back, 200 individual medley. Gotcha.
For whatever.
I didn't know you were a big swimmer, Cyber.
I thought I was
Are you good? Am I gonna find out in a couple years that you're going to the Olympics?
Lord McCraith, the banisher.
Am I gonna find out I have an Olympian in my community?
As it happens.
Oh, I'd cheer you on. I'd cheer you on TV if I found out you were in the Olympics. Come on. Okay, hold on. What are you doing here?
What are you doing out here anyway? Do you not fear the prowling beast?
Oh, I needed a walk. Bit of fresh air, bit of light. Forge is... well, it's dark and hot, isn't it? I didn't mean
I mean, it wasn't that dark. You had so many holes in your roof.
In the woods while burdened down with smithing tools.
Why'd you bring your tools?
Yeah, why did I bring my tools? Why? Because they're haunted.
Oh, is he using somebody else's tools?
I'm losing my tiny little mind. And it's them godforsaken tools that's to blame. I start working with them, and then I look up, and half the day's gone, and I am somewhere else entirely, and that's not even the worst of it.
All carnivore goers and all their endeavors? Correct. Correct. I will even get like a jersey or something if there is one.
As deep in the woods as I can
Listen,
go.
you tell me a community member plays on like a sports team or something. I may not be interested in the sports, but goddamn it, I'll buy your jersey. Tools tell you to kill your wife. Yes.
Did the haunted tools tell you to kill your wife?
No. Yes. Maybe. No. I would never hurt
Our
her.
poor buddy's having a breakdown.
Yes, they told me to hurt him.
So I was gonna say, this is like one of the situations where like I wouldn't want to be forced to blame
Can you
him.
help us?
Yes, I can help.
Heard you praying.
I heard you praying. I thought I recognized the text.
You did? You sure?
Nellie painted him a pious Puritan.
Aye. Thought they sounded Catholic.
Oh no, denominational bickering.
Coincidence? Look, here's the truth. I'm a convert. I did it for Nellie. Was Catholic. It was a convenience more than a calling. Keep it to yourself, please. I need to fit in around here.
Ugh, oh good lord. Here we go, fucking Protestant versus Catholic scenario. I won't tell a soul.
Not my business. I won't tell a soul.
Thank you. That's twice I owe you.
Alright, yeah, just go back to camp.
Head for camp. I'll take a look at the tools. Once they're safe, I'll follow.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
You just leave him in the
Thank
cabin?
You, Banisher, I'll... Thank you.
Okay. Okay, inspect the tools in the cabin.
Like a hump.
Treasure chest. Yeah. Damn, 40. Nice.
Mine! Mine! Mine, oh mine.
This is a very...
The ghost lays claim to the forge and everything in it.
The flatter from the echo is missing from the toolbox.
If it's not around here somewhere,
He has
lied to
it.
us.
He has it on him. Money. Oh.
Spectral stains heading deeper into the woods.
Odds are there's a blacksmith's flatter at the end of the trail.
Wait, what? Wait a second. What is up here? I see.
Now would be a good time to speak a few words of power, just to be sure.
What is this? Spectral malevolence. I don't know what this is. Manifest? It's titties? That's what it is? How dare you? Those are yours. Just because you can't see past them doesn't mean the rest of us only see titties. Watch it religiously, huh? Get it? Oh my god. Hi, Kohi. I feel like this is a scourge because this doesn't look like a nest. I'm fine with getting it wrong.
Spirit and flesh, I summon you.
Wrong. Failed.
You're losing your edge?
Yep, that's fine.
I summon you now.
Vindictive Trapper? What? Jesus.
Bust.
Oh, come on.
Watch out! Spectre possession.
No. Oh my god, let go!
Watch out!
Oh, it's a bone man. I don't want anybody to catch that. I am hitting C. Why aren't you doing anything? Oh my god, stop going for the corpse. Stop punching. I stopped clicking a long time ago.
friends.
Oh, of course.
Not gonna make this easy for me then.
Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Ooh, hello. Elite's defeated. Okay. Oh, and we got the elite gem. Nice. That corpse looks huge. I don't like that. Those look like more than just regular bone men. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't let those get possessed. All right, we're still supposed to be looking for footsteps deeper in the forest, I think is what that said. Because we're trying to find the hammer. Again, I feel like he has the hammer on him and we're going to get back and he's going to be attacking his wife. But like, hold on, do we need to interact with the footsteps maybe? Oh yeah, I didn't interact with the footsteps. That's my own fault. Because I'm small as fuck, but that's not really large. I mean, you carry it well. I remember the pictures. I remember the pictures. All right. Wait, what is down there? Okay. I'm going to attack your wife. My wife.
Fortune the blacksmith came deep into the dangerous woods.
Which one?
They who are haunted do odd things.
Maybe the ghost wanted him dead.
As Mom Zoa mode? What? That's interesting. All the things. Jesus, wait, is that another shelter down there? Hold on, let's do the shelter real quick. Oh, son of a bitch. Ow. Okay. See, this usually marks the shelter. It's back here, isn't it?
I need to stop at some point. Here would be all right.
Give me the goods. Give me that. Oh, there it is.
Looks like one.
Maps don't.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we can also fast travel between the campfires, so I want to grab as many as I can.
Very well. Let's look for this.
Everything else is cosmetic. Blah. Foo. One of the few reasons she had to get a breast reduction covered by insurance in the US. Yep. The weird thing is I keep seeing more people on Twitter because I follow certain artists and they like to retweet shit. Actually, yeah, we'll rest because we can upgrade some stuff. Double R? Jesus. Yeah, we're gonna upgrade our stuff. Nice. Now, what are we missing for these other things? What was the cotton one? That was the vein ring? Amulet. You? Nope, no idea where translucent fiber comes from. Where did we need cotton? I could have swore we needed cotton. Oh well. Shrug, I don't know. I've known a few people who very obviously have a complex about their boobs. All right, we're gonna go back the direction we came because we're working on a different mission. I've known some people that have a complex about their boobs that like want them to be big, want them to look big. Oh, Oh, didn't pick that up. Okay, where was the path we were on? Back here, next to this pot. Goes this way.
Something's here.
Alpha Wolves! Hi, guys.
Ask for help if you need it.
Yep. Banish an Alpha Wolf, why not? Alright. Nuts, give me your leather. Can I go in the cave? Ooh. Man, people really are dying out here a lot. Wait, also, that wasn't... You say that flash for the rings wasn't warning me about the wolves. It's... Oh. Ah, that's what it was. A corpse. Huh. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna go up there. Focus on the mission. Focus on the mission. I can't sidetrack everywhere. Oh, hello. Yoink. Hmm.
The hammer. Looks like Fortune tried to get rid of it. The hammer is the ghost tie.
Now to retrieve it without breaking my neck.
Yes, that would be a shame. We need to look for somewhere to cross.
I was gonna say, I saw the, there's a thing over there, so we can go get that. All my mind is now fluid. Hmm. Up here. Had bra failure, wardrobe failure will never be not funny. It's hilarious. I remember when like Gaz and I've seen other people have it. They'll like go to stretch or a chat will like make them do a workout or something. And you can hear it. It's always funny as shit. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. It's just funny. Okay, at least that one really wasn't that big of a deal to do. All right. Oh. What was that sound? Treasure chest. Yep, that's always what it is. There's a snap, there's a pop. It's funny. It's funny. When doing VR, I have never busted the seat of pants. Granted, at the rate I'm going at the gym and the way that my jeans currently fit me, might only be a matter of time. A matter of time and effort.
I sense an echo.
All right then. Let's trigger the trap.
Fuck. Nods the fucking echo. Great. All right. That motherfucker's gonna stand up. I know he is. You're not lootable. All right, buddy, go ahead.
Right.
Wait, what was that? Oh, it's you. Just beat his ass!
They never learn, do they?
Oh, hi. You just spawned on the same. Oh, shit.
A corpse and it wants it for its own.
Okay, there we go. We good? Here, I don't want to pick up that hammer just yet. Want to get some of the supplies. There's a direction that way. I wonder what that is. Hamner. Inspect.
That's enough now.
Oh.
I warned you. I warned you this would happen again.
No.
What?
Look at yourself. You're pathetic.
Is this...
I want a divorce.
Wait, that's a settler. That doesn't say fortune.
You're no Elizabeth Luxford. You are mine. And I'd sooner see you dead and cold than let you leave.
Is this like an ex-husband?
What's going on here?
Walk away, lad. This does not concern you.
I think it does.
Ooh, I have an idea. I think he killed him, didn't he? He's not the real Fortune. This is a random guy on the boat when they moved. He's pretending to be Fortune. That's why his fucking blacksmith skills are shit. He's not a blacksmith. Oh. Okay.
Birds killed a man with his own hammer.
We should talk to his ghost.
Oh. Hmm? Oh, okay, I gotcha. Make manifest. No, the wife just slapped him. It was the other guy that beat him to death with his own hammer. A costly form of euphoria? I think it's more likely to happen with cheap clothes. So if you spend a good amount of money on clothes, then they're not gonna break. Oh, he's over here. What's up, shitlord? We threw your body in the water, didn't they? That's why there's salt water everywhere.
We are the Banishers Antea Duarte and Red McWraith. Whose ghost are you? Do we really?
I still think that's Liam O'Brien.
Nothing good ever comes of talking to the dead.
At times, I'm tempted.
Yeah, they were glowing green. I could tell what was happening. It was this guy and the wife, Nellie. And then the other guy shows up to help her because he was definitely about to do something heinous.
My wife. My name. All mine. The bastard stole them.
Is he telling us our blacksmith's a fraud?
Well, yeah. Why are you here?
Why are you here?
I want what's mine. Stolen away.
Somebody Google it. I'm pretty sure this is Liam O'Brien.
I want my work. My name. My wife.
Yeah, look up the character Fortune in Banisher's Ghost of New Eden.
She was no one. A drudge who fancied herself a herbalist.
A man who talks through his teeth.
I plucked her from the dirt. I made her.
All right, no.
For VTM's new DLC is now free. No more paid clan day with True, yeah. And they announced that there's going to be 2 new story DLCs. You know what? We'll ask them all the questions. We'll ask them all the questions while we can.
In the mind of the man who replaced you.
She can't escape me.
Are you looking for revenge?
I claim what's mine.
Somebody also do me a favor and look up who plays Red. Because I'm weirdly enough, I'm kind of half expecting it to be Travis. I'm half expecting to be Travis Willingham. I mean, Mr. Laura Bailey.
We saw what happened.
Sorry, Mr. Laura Bailey.
What happened on the boat?
Maxim Reston? I have no idea who that is.
Scheming. Errant.
It really does sound like Liam O'Brien, though.
Red, come on.
Distempered. Feeble. A weak woman. Demanding care and giving none.
The thing is, I didn't hear anything about this having like a really star-studded voice cast. So I don't know if I can expect them to have...
That's not what I saw.
I think those people count as A-list voice actors.
I've had enough of this. Let's go.
All right. Can we go this way?
Now we know why Fortune Heaton died.
Will this get us back to the place faster? I'd have done the same.
Maybe I'd have done the same. Nellie and her fellow are haunted yet. And I'm concerned for their safety.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're definitely banishing this ghost. Ghost is gonna go bye-bye. Oh, god damn it. I think I'm just gonna ignore that. I honestly think I'm just gonna ignore it. Wait. Yeah, we can do that. I think this is the same cave. This is just like the other end of it. If it's not, it's good that we got another one. Okay, it is the same one. Let's go ahead and fast travel to the shelter. Fast travel, I said. Ooh. Yeah, Hunter's Camp. Travel. They're all Chris Pratt? You're lying to me. It can't be true. It can't be true. All right, where's their boy? Oh, what the hell? Oh, it's swinging around to get us to the blacksmith.
Fortune's ghost is here. Let's end this now.
I was afraid to worry you.
No secrets, we said.
We did. Because this only works if we're together.
Right. Together.
Do you think the Banisher knows?
No. Though I'd not swear on it.
He's no fool. I am no Puritan, he must know that at least.
Well, yeah, we literally had that conversation.
Mine, oh mine, oh mine.
Is that it? I think that's all he's gonna say. Yeah, that's all he's gonna say.
Piss off, Heaton.
Piss off.
Hush. Someone's coming.
Banisher!
We really just walk in. Howdy, folks.
Mr. McCrae. My man came back and I hear I've you to thank for it.
Don't celebrate just yet.
Red is Rustbane. That is
Your secret is out.
a badass name.
I don't know who you are, sir, but you're not Fortune Heaton.
Is this his actual accent?
Haskell
I feel like somebody named Rustbane would sound like this.
Fortune Heaton. You're none of those things. You're not him.
What do you want?
I'd like your side of the story, madam.
Very well.
What? No. How do we know we can trust him?
We don't. But we must take the chance. It's time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna banish the ghost, honestly. Yeah, tell me your side of the story.
On the crossing from England, something happened. What was it?
I'd had peace and quiet for weeks since we'd been aboard. Fortune was too sick to do anything. I even made a friend. I thought to myself, maybe this new beginning will be good.
That's what she meant earlier when she said it like saved our marriage.
Before we left, I'd sworn he'd never lift a hand to me again. Well, guess what?
Yeah, I was gonna say we're just here to hear her story. We're not like making accusations or anything. Although you should probably get better at blacksmithing if you're gonna keep this up.
Do you regret it? Do you regret any of it?
What would be the point? And if I did, what would be the point of telling you about it? I'd have escaped him in the end, but I'd have had to die to do it. I only killed him.
Leave the wind.
The blame
Anyway.
is on him, sir, not me.
You're not Fortune Heaton. So,
Who are you, Mr. Not Heaton?
To hell with it. You're right, I'm no blacksmith. I, sir, am the fugitive thief Arthur Carty.
Thief?
But a good man. A repentant, hard-working man.
If I am those things, it's because you've shown me it's all right. Do my best.
Oh my
to make
god,
a better
more
life.
love? More love?
what were you running from?
Just the legal consequences of my illegal life.
Okay. Yeah, time for closure.
You sent me to find your husband, Mrs. Heaton. Find him I did. Your husband's corpse rots on the ocean floor, and his ghost has followed you here.
I rid myself of him once. What shall it take to do it a second time?
She's still in the right, dude. She's still in the right. It's Arthur Morgan? No. Oh boy. All right. We can blame both of them? Absolutely not. Eat pants, sir. You were a monster.
Fortune Heaton. Dead as alive, you're an angry man. Time to go.
I made her. She is mine.
Well, if only you weren't such a selfish prick about it. Honestly, you probably could have enjoyed a pretty luxurious life as a blacksmith.
And your name shall pass to Arthur Carty while you enter oblivion.
Nellie will run the forge, and a better version of Fortune Heaton will walk the world.
I am Fortune Heaton. Ever was,
No, I bet there's multiple. In this day and age, I bet there's multiple Fortune
Not
Heatons.
anymore. Be gone.
It's Arthur Morgan, no relation to Arthur Morgan, both men running from the law. Oh my god.
On your soul. Remembrance of your name.
Yeah, see, this is why I didn't want to do the oath things earlier, though. This was like the perfect example.
Is it done?
Oh, that's the carpet on the ground. I was confused by what that was for a second.
What will you tell the others? Will you expose us?
Will I spill your secret to the camp? No, I won't.
Aww. All right, real quick. We got a bunch of points. So let's do some spending here. Triggers an ooh, AoE punch. I like that. I like that. All right. Parry. We're not really doing parry, so we'll do charged. Okay. Excuse me. Talk to Kate? I don't want to talk to Kate yet. I don't want to talk to Kate yet. I want to do the other haunting mission. But we need to save. We haven't saved today. Save. Double save. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. But that is going to be it today, chat. We're coming up on hour 4. I need to hit the grocery store. I need to do something about dinner tonight. Feepsh. Feepsh. But that is effectively going to be it for this week over here. However, we're going to be back for both of our TTRPGs this week. I am very excited. Tomorrow, we're going to have Mage the Ascension at 11 a.m. CDT over on Hectic stream. Let me do a shout out for Hectic, because Hectic was here earlier. And then Sunday, we are going to be over at GM the Game Monster at 6 p.m. CDT playing Vampire the Masquerade. We've been off for the past month. Yes, like a whole fucking month. But I need to find someone to raid. I think we're going to raid Rama. Rama looks like she's just chatting right now, but according to her title, she's going to go play Water Park Sim. Plus, I haven't got to raid her in a long time, and she swings by on occasion, so why not? Ramaya. All the TTRPGs are back. Let's go. Goddamn right, baby. Goddamn right. I'm so excited. Hi, Keyshawn. Well, I'm sorry. We're just ending, but thank you for swinging in. It's good to see you, buddy. All right. But yeah, that's generally it. I will see you guys come Monday here. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow at Mage. If you aren't in the Discord, I highly recommend joining it. That's where I do most of our announcements before stream. And or if I'm showing up somewhere else. It's going to be your best bet to join there. We're also going to be doing horror movies further into the future. I don't know. I don't think we're going to do one tonight. But eventually we will. I still need to figure out what our next series or what the next thing we're going to kind of cover is, because we just did all of The Conjuring. Maybe I'll see if I have access to the new Conjuring movie. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But until then, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. Good night, and go eat something delicious for me.